Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming to you live from this Monday. This is the Ronin Rumble Roundtable. We will be discussing the topic of the night will be being black in the FGC and what that means to a lot of us. Everybody good? Everybody in? Everybody can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I will be the host for the night. My name is Colin Mooring, aka CJ, aka CJ Soulstar. I am from the Northern California area. Been a member of the FGC for well over 20 years now. Love this stuff, near and dear to my heart, and glad to be here. I was asked by my friend Reiki to host this, and I hope I do it justice. And I'm glad to be here with everybody tonight. Tonight we have a lot of people from the FGC, panelists. You know, just they come from all aspects of what we do. And what I'm going to do is hand it over to them one by one so they can introduce themselves and let you know a little bit more about who they are. So we'll start with Dynamite. Introduce yourself, please.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Dynamite. Most people call me Dan. Either one is fine. FGC commentator, also TO and owner of Low Kick Esports out of Chicago, Illinois. I've been playing fighting games for a very long time and been black my whole life. So I think I'm pretty qualified to be on the panel.
Hey. Okay. Up next, we got Saint Cola. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please. Black don't crack, baby. Up next, we got Sharpie. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. What's up? It's me. I go by the Purple Sharpie or Sharpie, whichever one you're more comfortable with. But you probably know me from specifically the Skullgirls community. And even more importantly, I used to host offline tournaments at Xanadu Games, which was inside the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. And I'm one of the co-founders of Combo Queens, and a company inside the FGC that specifically tries to help women, LGBTQ plus, and non-binary individuals feel more comfortable inside of the fighting game community. And I am also currently working on a web series called Training Partners, which is available on YouTube.
Glad to have you here. Up next, we have Sonic Soul. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sonic Soul. I primarily worked with Ronin Rumble for a lot of their tournaments. I also competed in them. I've also done my own tournament series called Grand Blue Fantasy versus Levitation for a while. And yeah, I mean, I'm black. I wanted to talk about what's going on within both the FGC and I think also within like current topics as well within the real world. I do have, a few experiences, especially with my degree with law and everything in terms of John Jay, and I've gone over a lot of the past. So I'd like to at least share that in terms of recollection here. So mainly you could find me on Twitch on twitch.tv/Sonic_Soul. I mostly play fighting games. But yeah, I've worked alongside Ronin Rumble for quite some time now.
Okay. James is telling me that we missed Saint Cola. Saint Cola, could you please introduce yourself one more time, please?
Sure. My name is Saint Cola. I'm a commentator as well. I do, Capcom Pro Tour, Arc Revo, things like that. Been in the FGC for a long time. You wouldn't know it because I got that nice, shiny skin because of Black Excellence, baby. As you just said, black don't crack, and you're absolutely
right. Yes, sir. On to the next. Mr. Cap One, could you please introduce yourself?
I'm in the game industry. I'm the director of ad operations at IGN. So I've done the corporate shit in addition to our community shit. Right. All right, what's good? My name's Aaron Smith. I go by Cap1 at FGC. I've been around for a good 2 decades or so. I used to run the tournament at Wednesday Night Fights back when it was at Super Arcade. Since then, I do behind-the-scenes stuff for production work at most major tournaments for the most part as part of 10-0. Most of you probably recognize me as that guy running the main stage at EVO. Outside of the FGC, I'm a part of the video game industry. I work at IGN. I'm the director of ad operations there.
Glad to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
Up next, Mr. Chris Chaos. Could you introduce yourself?
Hey, what up, though? It's Chris Chaos on the mic. I am Frosty Fausting's Arc System Works game lead. Also their event organizer and advisor. I'm also a former commentator. A lot of people may remember me for going by the handle of Shinsen before. I was that guy who pretty much was involved in that Frosty Fausting's collusion incident and put a stop to that. For those who may have not remember that. Other than that, I've pretty much been doing a lot of things with like Low Kick, Combo Breaker, Frosty, and just pretty much a lot of seeding and such. But that's what it is.
Also glad to have you here, sir. And finally, Miss Aziza, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Aziza Brown. I am the owner and founder of Dynamic Focus, the esports team. I'm also the main sponsor for the Queen of the Hill series, a series for women to compete online, and we're trying to go offline when it's available. And I also do the apparel for the Queen of the Hill series too. So that's me.
Glad to have you here as well. So before we get into it, let me break the ice a little bit. How's everybody doing today?
We thriving, honey.
I'm living.
Doing the best we can, right?
Yeah,
We living.
We okay.
making lemonade.
Yeah, we in here. It's definitely good to see a lot of black faces in here. I'll definitely say that. You know what I'm saying? So I guess without further ado, let's get started. So the topic of the day is being black in the FGC. This is something that I've been for 20 plus years now. And it's a conversation that I've had with multiple people under multiple different circumstances for many different things. And I think it's very different per person, per your experience with the FGC. I guess now with everything that's happening in the world, I mean, if you look back, I mean, it's just been crazy. It's been a crazy couple years from like end of 2019 up to now. It's just been nuts. I mean, quarantine, the pandemic hit, quarantine started about March. And we've still been in that, you know, something that was supposed to be 2 weeks to 2 months has lasted almost a year now. And there's still no way out. We still don't see, you know, a clear way out of that. I mean, we have the vaccine, but that's a conversation for another place. You know, we had the George Floyd incident that happened in May, and man, I mean, you talk about something that rocked the country. That was crazy. That was very crazy. We had the election at the end of November. And depending on what politics does or doesn't mean to you, I mean, getting someone else in and getting someone else out, that was a really, really, really big, you know, point of conversation for a lot of people, but a lot towards us because racism has been back at the forefront of conversation in everything, politics, just day-to-day conversation with your friends. Like it's everywhere now. And with everything happening, police brutality, all that, like, you know, we are at the forefront of what everybody's talking about when it comes to problems in this country and things that need to get fixed. And for us, being Black people as it is, we've grown up with that. I know from a child, I was always told the things that I needed to watch out for and, you know, what was thought about us and all these things growing up. And you kind of have to learn how to navigate this country and this world, you know, just because of the color of your skin and who we happen to be. For one thing, the FGC has always been kind of like a safe haven for me. It's been a very big part of my life. It's probably, you know, my biggest hobby throughout my life. And, you know, to be in my 30s now and still be playing, I mean, that tells you something. You know, when you're younger, they'll tell you, you know, video games, you're gonna grow out of that at some point. Nah, it don't work that way with these fighting games. And it's really hard to explain that to people. I know for a fact that it was kind of taboo where I was from to be black and be into fighting games the way that I was. Back then, if you tried to explain it to people, it's just like, oh, you just play Street Fighter. It's like, yeah, but like, nah, yeah, but nah. You know what
Some
I'm
people didn't
saying?
even view it as Street Fighter. They just viewed it as another video game too.
Exactly, because you know they could pick it up, play it, hit the buttons, you know, move the direction pad around, make stuff happen. But when you understood it on a different level, like we did, you couldn't really explain that to people the way that you can now. The scene has changed. A lot of things have changed. A lot for the better. You know what I'm saying? So I think being black in the FGC has been a very positive thing for me. But I've always wanted to talk to more people about this subject to get their aspect on it and see what their experience has been, because I know I've talked to certain people, and for some people it was a tumultuous thing to be black and get into the scene, and for other people it was a really easy transition. I think it just depends on when you got in, where you got in, who you were around, and you know what circumstances it was that you got into it. But I know that most of the people that I've met in the FGC that are black enjoy being a part of it. I myself being one of them. That being said, the FGC has been hit with some pretty rough stuff in the past year. I mean, I don't even know where you want to start. I mean, we could start with the Smash community, where that went. We could start with the Mr. Wizard situation, where that went. I know Sharpie, you know, the Skullgirl situation, that whole thing, you know, that it's been a lot. And the bright future that we thought we had kind of got dimmed a little bit, both with this pandemic and both with a lot of the things that have happened over time. So I want to start getting everybody's individual experiences with this first question. And I guess we'll start from the beginning, actually. So Mr. Dynamite, do you mind going first?
Not at all.
Okay, so my first question is, how does being black in the FGC compare with being black in American society to you?
So I think that the important part of this question is the similarities and then the differences, right? Starting out, you know, there's always the similarities of being black in any space, right? When you first enter, you're looking to see, is this somewhere where I can be myself, or do I have to code switch, right? And that was the first thing that really drew me to the FGC, was that I didn't feel like I had to. You know, I've done corporate work for a while. I've done, you know, independent work for a while. I've owned my own business for a while in American society. And the ability to code switch is really, you know, one of the things that got me far in my career. But when it came to the FGC, in a certain way, I've always felt like I could be myself. I could relax because I saw a lot of people on the player and on the level of someone who's an attendee. I saw a lot of people like myself. But much like in American society, as you start to climb the ranks, that starts to disappear. And that is a similarity that I feel is one we steadily need to work on. And I've noticed that, you know, when I started to do commentary, I noticed that when I said, okay, I want to run a business that throws tournaments, right? Like when you start to get into that space, you start to notice that the people who look like you or sound like you start to fade away. And that is a similarity that I think that all of us here can relate to. And it's one that we've actively done our best and continue to change. But unlike in American society, and this is where the differences come in, I really, for the first time in my personal experience, being an African American male in the FGC was different than being an African American male in American society, because I really experienced the difference, what the gender difference of being a male in the FGC, and the ability to not be affected by some things. And that was the first time that that's ever happened to me in my life. I'm not saying that in American society there isn't that similarity, because there definitely is. But the FGC was the first time where I had to do a retrospect and be like, yo, I need to actually check my comfort level with some of the stuff that's going on, because it's not hitting me, but it should be. And that was one of the sharpest contrasts that being Black in the FGC really taught me, is like, look, but you're comfortable here, but check how comfortable you are. And I've had a lot of conversations about that with people who are not male, who didn't identify as male in the FGC. And that to me has been the biggest difference that I really do appreciate and love, because it is a teaching point. And so in American society, it's so much focus for me in my experience on the African-American part, that you really do get to see it almost in its own microcosm in the FGC. And so I really do think that that's probably one of the strongest contrasts to me. The other thing is the ability to have a conversation with someone on a personal level, to me, in an FGC scenario, is much stronger, because we're already there for something common. So I can try to seek that common ground. I can say, hey, look, at the end of the day, we're here because this is something we enjoy. So let's come at it from that point and try to resolve things. In American society, there may be no resolution point, because we may be in the same space for completely different reasons. And that is something that I really wish were different, but it's not. And that's the reality of it. And I think that because of that, there are opportunities here in the FGC that you may not necessarily have in American society. You know, it comes with the ability to influence in the FGC, like you may not be able to have the resources to do in American society. I think that that's one of the great things about being Black in the FGC, is that you can make that influence felt much more than typically in American society. You need a lot more resources in American society to have that magnitude, to where, you know, you want to keep climbing the rung. But in the FGC, a lot of times you can work, meet the right people. There's always luck involved, but I just feel like that magnitude, because we're so present, like we're so present here, that it doesn't matter. If I reach out, just like Reiki reached out to all of us, if I reach out to people and say, hey, I want to do something that celebrates Black Lives Matter, or hey, I want to have a real conversation with people about being Black in the FGC, we can gather up en masse very quickly and make that happen. And I really do appreciate that about the FGC. And I think we're definitely getting there in American society. But I mean, if you just look back and think, we really spent the entire summer talking about things we always talk about. And the reaction to that in January was an attempt to overthrow the government. That is the level that I'm talking about in American society when I talk about magnitude.
That's true. That's true.
All we did was turn the volume up from 11 to 100, and then the government was in danger. And now people are getting off scot-free for it. So being Black in the FGC, I feel like we have more recourse. It may not be much, but we do have more recourse than in American society, because it's just such a larger spectrum that it's even hard to draw stark comparisons because of that. And so, like I said, it comes down to that. But I will say this in closing: being Black in the FGC taught me a lot of lessons about being Black in American society, because knowing what an L represents changed the way that I look at being Black in American society. And so for that, I'll be eternally thankful.
Very good answer, my friend. Very good answer. You hit on a whole lot of things there. I think one of the bigger points is the fact that you were talking about how easy it is for us to get together and, you know, do things like that because we connect over something that we love. You know, there's, like you said, there are a lot of us, and man, like when you really pay attention to how many people are, you know, of how many Black people are actually part of the FGC now, it's nuts. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was growing up, I was kind of told that what I was doing was the outsider type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like when you tell people, yeah, I play fighting games and I play Street Fighter and all that other stuff, they look at you and they're just like, but you're a black guy. You don't play sports and and all that other stuff. And it's just like, nah, I like these games. And you feel like an outcast until you kind of get in it. You get in here and you're just like, oh, there's a lot of us. There's a whole lot of us that connect over this. And with everything that's happened, I mean, to have so many of us at arm's reach, to be able to come together when we need our voices heard, it's amazing. Like it's definitely amazing. It's like you said, it's a lot easier to do it with people that we know in the FGC than it is people outside the FGC sometimes. So it's good to have access to that, and it's all based on us having a common interest in something that we love, which just happens to be these games, which is pretty awesome. So on to the next. Mr. St. Cola, you here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Same question to you. How does being black in the FGC for you compared to being black with to being black in American society?
So, like, when I got into the FGC, like, I've been in for it like for a while, scumming on the forums and stuff like that. Never really being like a really big presence and really not going out to my locals until maybe 2010 and stuff like that. I started kind of stop being a homebody, because I had this life where I was like really, I go and hang out with people. I'm extroverted and stuff like that, but I really felt like I belonged at a place when I really started getting more involved in the FGC. And that just shot up every single year. And the more people I met, the more events I went to, it really felt like a home. Whereas, outside of the FGC, as Dan has already put it, like you have all this vitriol where the FGC in many ways, and there are problems in it, obviously, where I'll get to it, of course, but there's a big family element. There's a big communal element that it's almost immediate. And it's not immediate for everybody, especially for the women and any transgender people that are out there. Unfortunately, I feel like there's a lot of stuff we got to work on. But as a male, that's one thing that was, I guess, easier for me to come into in terms of the FGC. And I really grappled on that. I was like, this is amazing. Like, everyone's really cool, works in the same thing, and having something that we're all interested in led us to become friends in other ways. Like, oh, you like anime, you like this and that. And it actually kind of solved my issue. Like, I don't have that many friends up in Chicago. I met so many people through the FGC all around the world. It just baffles me where I don't know if I could have did the same thing outside of it. Like, it just communal element really helped out so much. And that is like the variance. Now, on the other hand, one thing that it does share with American society is many of the pitfalls. They're there. They're just flavored differently, right? The racism's still there, and especially how we deal with the racism, right? We've seen a lot of people say horrible things, and they're either glossed over, or because they're friends of friends or whatever, or they're not treated in a serious manner until later on. We just had the Cynthia Bunny thing where she got caught this year. She's been saying stuff for about 7 months on her Twitter post. We have black people in the community who have retweeted it out, had talked about that, had put it out in the open, but it wasn't until it was the right moment that she deserved to get canceled that people kind of were like, okay, we should deal with this. And it's the same thing in society, where it takes so long for something to actually happen. It takes so long for something to actually happen to these people that deserve it. The recourse, the justice for our people, it takes so long, and then we have to sit here and say, well, we told you so at the end. We have to deal with all the stress and stuff like that, Right. So there are all these issues that are still from society. Sexism is still a big thing in the FGC. Being hateful to people of different genders is terrible. To different orientations is still a thing. And again, when these problems come up, they are not taken care of quickly. It is either brushed under the rug, or it goes this long process, or whatever. Just like society. The growth that society has in terms of being slow is the same in the FGC. And I've been here for years. And I'm not going to sit here and say I was a good person. In fact, I feel like I wasn't even a good person until maybe 9 years ago, to be honest. I was a shitty person. I'll put it on the line. I was definitely not a good person. But I've learned, and I've gotten better, and I've had a lot of conversations and things like that. And I want to continue to improve. But I feel like there is no recourse, both in society and the FGC. And I feel like the societal aspect of how you don't get in that much trouble for these things, the cancellation, all that stuff like that doesn't really matter. It's the same way in the FGC. Someone gets canceled for some stuff, but you still see them coming through. There's tons of people coming through their Twitches, giving them money, hanging out with them on the side and all that stuff like that. And they don't actually want to say sorry or show that they're, apologetic. You know what I'm saying? So while I love the FGC, the communal aspect, that actually kind of hurts it sometimes, because the communal aspect makes it even harder to punish the people who you consider friends and family and stuff like that. So you take these lumbering steps to do anything about this stuff when it should be immediately checking these people. And I've seen this in my own home life too, in society. I've seen people not get checked for stuff I used to be at an all-white school, and people would get away with saying a lot of dirty stuff to me. If it wasn't for people that were friends of mine to stick up for me, who knows what would have happened. Okay, I was the only black kid there, and there was only 3 minorities there. So seeing that similar thing happen in the FGC is just like, man, some things never change, and it's really unfortunate that we have to. That you think that you can escape to this wonderland of the community, but you get checked. And being a black male, I only get the tip of it. And if you're out there and you're a black male too, we get it, right? But
right.
The black women and everybody else outside of that's a minority catches this stuff. Our black sisters out here are definitely getting it even harder. Sharpie, well, I'm sure she'll be able to talk. I don't want to speak for her, but I'm sitting on the sidelines. I can't even imagine what she goes through. It is disgusting. So you think that you have this community, and it will be a community, but the problems that happen just make it hurt more, because this is supposed to be my home, and I can't even rest my head here. It's a similar thing with society to me. It just feels worse because this is supposed to be your family. So when we have these blowups and things like that, it just feels worse. And that's kind of my compare and contrast, I guess.
Okay, and that's a good contrast into what Dynamite said, because Dynamite was like, well, when we need everybody to come together on something, we do, and you are basically saying that we have the resources, we just don't do it quick enough. Like, the consequences aren't enough, they're not strong enough, they don't stick the way that they should, and they take way too long to come, is basically what you're saying, correct?
Word.
Okay, I can understand that, and I definitely feel that, when you've been around for a long time, yeah, you've seen a lot of things in the FGC that have been swept under the rug sometimes, and you're just like, hey, why are we cool with this? And sometimes it's like you said, it's because of who knows who, and what that person brings to this or that. But you're right, there are definitely things that need to get handled quicker and need to be punished harder. But I do think it happens. I just don't think that it happens in the manner that it should every single time. And I definitely feel you on that. Definitely feel you on that. So it's definitely something that also can be worked on. But yeah, I get you. I hear you. I mean, it's hard because like I said, I've been around for a pretty long time too. So I really know what you're saying, and I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
in order to dive really deep into that, it's tough. But I get where you're coming from. I definitely get where you're coming from. Okay. Up next, we got the woman who got us on webcams, Miss Sharpie. Just want to let everybody in the stream know that this webcam thing was not about to happen.
No, it wasn't.
It was not
Honey,
about
I
to
spent
happen.
entirely too much money on this look and this outfit to not let people see me.
I
I'm gonna be
feel
real
you.
with you.
That's
So
what- that's what
everyone
she
on
said.
stream, you're welcome.
That's
Yeah.
what
You're
she
welcome.
said.
I feel you.
Okay?
I
You're
feel
welcome.
you.
That's what she said.
Continue
Okay.
on.
All right, Sharpie, you ready?
I am. Been
All
ready for
right.
a minute, my brother.
I hear that. All right. So we about to let you off the hook. Just remember, we got 7 minutes a person.
Oh, that's 6
Okay,
minutes and 30 seconds more than I need. Let me tell you what, but I'm gonna use it.
I got you.
We're claiming my
Okay.
time starting now. All right.
So
So
let me give you this question. How does being black in the FGC compare with being black in American society for you?
so to be honest with you, that's kind of not a very fair question for me. One of the high points inside of the fighting game community, and I've said this prior to a few of my friends and some very close acquaintances that I know, is that one of the key points to the fighting game community for me is that I didn't feel like my blackness really came into question. I was previously in the Super Smash Brothers community and even the League of Legends community, and I've been gaming all of my life, and my blackness always came up first and foremost. But in fighting games, I never feel as someone sees me as just that Black person. I feel seen first and foremost as a woman, as a femme presenting person, and even in some situations as a problem, uh, because of how I present myself. And a lot of that is something that first and foremost I always felt like my privilege allowed me to not have to see myself as Black inside of the FGC. It wasn't until I started telling people that I'm here playing fighting games that I started feeling like my Blackness was being seen. When I'm inside of the fighting game community and I'm talking to people, I never feel like I'm being treated like that Black person or that Black girl. I feel like I'm being seen as that girl. And that was a high point for me personally, because before, when I was inside of Smash and League, it was always about my Blackness. It was never about me being good at a game or me being female or anything like that. It was always my race first and foremost. And here I have the good pleasure of just feeling for the very first time what it feels like to just be a woman. Because in my life, in my schools, in even just personal and friendships that I've had throughout my life, throughout my very long life, I've never just been able to feel what it felt like to just be seen as just a woman first and foremost. That's something that a lot of my Caucasian female friends have had to deal with. It's not really something that I've ever experienced. So it was fun for me. It was fun for me first and foremost until it started getting really weird. Because I have the same passion that a lot of other people inside of this call have for fighting games and video games in general. But I had a really large amount of love for a game that y'all know is Skullgirls. Um, Everyone knows I love that game. It's not a secret. And it wasn't until I started moving up into becoming more visible for my love for the game that I started experiencing, I want to say, more anger or more discrimination just because of how I presented myself. Not necessarily because of my race, just because of my sex and gender. And that was a weird dynamic for me because in every other context of gaming, it had always been because I was Black, right? I had been streaming for at that point just about 5 years, and it wasn't until I started playing Skullgirls that people started saying the only reason I was getting viewers was because I was a girl. The only reason I was able to organize tournaments was because I was a girl. It wasn't because I was Black, it was because I was a girl. And that's when that whole conversation started happening. At my very first offline tournament that I ever went to, which was Xanadu. Um, well, actually, prior to that, I went to a tournament, an offline local enrichment, and I had a very negative experience. But it wasn't because I was Black. It was because I was a woman, which was weird. Because after that, I went to Smash, and then it just became, she's that Black chick. But before that, it was just there's this loud chick right here. Um, Earlier in this conversation, it was referenced the moment that everyone knows inside of Skullgirls conversation that I was present for. There was a moment on stream where a developer for the game, who is no longer affiliated in any way, shape, or form with the game, said a very disparaging comment 2 days after George Floyd's murder. I had the unfortunate luck of being present for that moment, and I've had a really long time to think back about that moment. And one of the things that I realized was my privilege that allowed me to not have to think necessarily about my race inside of this community granted me a certain type of escape from having to deal with someone that was a close friend who was treating me lesser than. And that was difficult for me to come to because for a very, very long time, especially with my close friends and especially with people that I consider very, very, very good friends, I've been very open and honest about how I feel about race relations in general and how I feel about my Blackness, because it's not a conversation that I necessarily get to have with like my coworkers or my classmates or anything like that, but it's a conversation I can have here because I feel like people here are more open to talk about race because there are predominantly Black people in this community. Um, and it was weird having to correct someone and having to explain things that I would usually have to explain to someone who didn't understand a single thing about how Black people struggle, not just in America, but across the world. it was a weird, very surreal point. And that's when I realized that the FGC, as diverse as we are, is only a microcosm for our society. And every single time that we put off the conversation of having these really difficult conversations of talking about how different we are compared to the rest of esports or gaming in general, every single time we do that and we just say, we don't have to deal with a societal problem, every single time we do that, we allow for more situations like that to happen. We allow for these viral moments to happen where someone is being completely and totally blatantly incorrectly wrong and discriminatory. It's really painful to see moments like that happen and to be there for a moment like that. But the reality is it needs to happen. Otherwise, we can't move forward. And even me, someone who's been Black now for going on 30 years, we still have work to do. And every single day that we're out here, we need to be working to be better. And while it's not our responsibility to educate others, it is our responsibility to educate the children and to make sure that they're still out here fighting if we can't. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Play Skullgirls.
All muted. Oh, I can't hear him.
You're muted, CJ.
Oh, no, I'm not. Hey. My bad. No, I wanted to make sure that she got it all out. But no, that was very well done. Like I said, I know you had a lot to say, and that's whew, that one got me. That one got to me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how you say that the one thing that you really didn't have to worry about was like your color at first. That kind of got me, where you were just like, it was more about you just being a girl. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like how it would like people would get either like generally, I don't want to say concerned or confused isn't even the word, but they're just like shocked when a girl would show up to something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're so used to seeing the same guys everywhere you go, this tournament, that tournament, you pretty much say the same people. But when you see a girl show up back in the day, there were some people who just couldn't wrap their head around that. They really couldn't. It didn't matter that you were Black. That had nothing to do with it. It was just the fact that like, hey, there's a girl here. And instantly you have those assumptions that come from that where it's like, well, can she play? What is she here for? Girls don't do this, don't do that. And it's just like, wow, damn, like y'all don't even know her yet. You know what I'm saying? Like she could come in here and stomp all y'all out, and all y'all worried about is that she's a girl. That's crazy. But that's another big part of this community that's still a problem to this day. Like even with all the women that we have now in the FGC, you still have a lot of guys that just I don't know where their mentalities are with that. They have this thing in their head where it's just like, oh, a girl in the FGC is only here for this or they're only here for that. It doesn't matter. Like I said, the color is not a problem. It's just the fact that she's a girl, and guys just, since it's a male dominated thing, they just instantly assume that, oh, it's got to be for this or it's got to be for that, or she can't be this or she can't be that. So your color can just completely get washed out.
I do want to add one quick thing, if I may, for one moment.
Go ahead.
I apologize. It's very, very quick. I do want to add that earlier when I first joined the fighting game community, when I started streaming and playing Skullgirls, I have always identified as female. The reason I say femme is because you wouldn't have been able to tell by looking at me that I was female prior. My hair was shorter, it was natural. I wore very loose clothing. Like at far away, it wasn't always clear that I was a male, that I was female.
Okay.
And so I think that there was a lot of change that happened after I started commentating events and after I started becoming the face of things like Xanadu, and I started changing who I was internally, that I started presenting more as female. Very obviously, I started wearing more form-fitting clothes and everything like that. One of the things that I noticed was that my gender was always called into question when someone couldn't immediately peg me as female. And the reason I bring this up is because I don't know if anyone here necessarily identifies as transgender at all, but I do know that that is a very large problem still prevalent inside of our community, where there are some people who may not immediately be pegged or may not immediately be seen as male or female, because obviously gender is just a spectrum. but they are harassed exclusively for not immediately fitting into one of those two very limited pegs. That was
I think
something that I did not appreciate experiencing when I first joined. I did not appreciate the very first time I showed up on stream getting questions about whether or not I was a boy or a guy. And then as soon as I'm sorry, a guy or a girl, and the very first time that I was identified as a woman, oh no, she must be a guy because she's actually winning. And then it became, oh
yeah,
no,
there's
she
always
must
that.
have been a guy because she's still winning.
There's
Mhm.
always
It's
that too.
always you don't win.
I
It's
think
really
that's
frustrating.
I think that's part of what Cola was talking about too when it came to issues with that. And yeah, there's definitely that. That's a big thing. But it's I feel like everything's just a learning process. And the longer that you guys are here, I mean, you guys aren't going anywhere. And I love seeing more of you. Like I remember when I was younger, I used to hate that there weren't enough. I mean, there weren't more girls that played. I used to question, and I'm just like, hey, I mean, we love these games. There's got to be girls somewhere that love these games. And really, it would be rare where you met one that was like really into it. Usually for me, when I would go to a tournament, it was somebody's girlfriend, or somebody who didn't actually play games but was like into anime and just like the characters and stuff like that. But then as time is going on, seeing more women who are like prominent figures in the scene, it's amazing to me. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there needs to be way more of that. You know what I'm saying? I got a little niece, you know what I'm saying? And she comes in here and plays on my arcade stick every single day. And I'm like, yeah, baby girl, that's right. Figure it out. Oh my goodness. Cause we need more of that. Up next, we have Mr. Sonic Soul. You here?
I'm here.
All
I'm
right,
here.
sir. You're up. Next, same question to you. How does being black in the FGC compare with being black in American society for you?
So I will say, and I'm sure that this point has been like hammered home along with the past three people that spoke. Um Being black in the FGC, like being a black male in the FGC, to me, I didn't really think of it as much per se, because the only thing I was really coming into the community to do was to just play, I only played the game. I only came into the community for that. And I saw the FGC as like an escape. Like, my current household and the things that I go through is like ridiculous. So it's like, to be able to escape to a community that would be able to welcome me for who I was, it was good. And then the fact of like, they didn't see my race. All they saw was like, they just saw my strength. They just saw my skill as a player. And they also just wanted to say what's up, just because we shared the common interest of playing fighting games, right? So to me, for me, it was more about if people looked at me like, oh, is he a strong player or not? Or is he like really good? Or what does he know? And I feel like in terms of like the grassroots beginnings for the FGC, because I've been playing fighting games since 2009, I think, competitively. I think a majority of it is like, again, who is like stronger more than it is like your race. Um, but obviously, time has moved on, and as it's became as more people have come through that are women of color, especially, and we've seen them come and play, it's been a big issue as to like them being in the community and them not being able to play just because of the prejudice, right? Like, it's the biggest thing is just the prejudice of it. I've never had any instances when I would, being in the FGC where my race came into contention. I've never had that happen to me. I've mostly just, I've gotten in spats with people, but it was over like trivial things. It was never really off of race or anything like that. But it's like, to see, women of color go through that, it's crazy to me. Like, it really hurts me to my core. Now I will say, like, in comparison to American society, right? In general, I think the race factor is larger there on an economic and social level, and it's just like, even being like in a relationship for me, like I was in a relationship at one point, I had my ex at the time, and her mom literally was like, he's just coming over here just to like, do the thing with you and whatnot, and not actually care about you. He's like all these other black guys, and that hurt me. In like American society, that's terrible to deal with. Like, it's like that Static Shock episode. Except instead of it being like your friend, it's someone that you really care about, that you really love. I lost that relationship off of that, and it's like, for me, I feel like in terms of American society as opposed to the FGC, it's on a much larger scale in the American society. We're like the FGC to me in terms of these issues. I'm not saying that the issue shouldn't be talked about. We should talk about it, and the fact that we're doing it here is a good thing. But I think like in terms of American society, it's on a much larger scale. Like it's on a much larger scale, both on a social, political, and even on an economic level. So, for me, I don't really have the same like experiences in terms of race, but I don't like the fact that every time I turn on a stream, you'll see people just blatantly like say like, oh well, there's a girl on stream, it's a girl, and then if she's losing, like it's to be expected. Like I've seen a lot of strong players within the past couple of years play in numerous fighting games that were women, and there were even like instances where I think it was either Injustice or Mortal Kombat where there was this female player that was playing, and the guy was like, I'm not gonna lose to a girl or whatnot, and then he ends up losing, and it's just like it's a devastating thing for him, but it's like she's a regular person just like us, like she's a regular person. Like why are you treating her any differently? So that always bothers me because I know at the end of the day when you came into the FGC it was about skill first. That's what I always thought of it as, and I thought that was accepting, just the fact that like we could look past all of that and it was just about the game. No one was above the game. Everybody was playing with the same common purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is the difference, is the fact of like what people look at. And I think like in terms of race, it's just the fact of Black women, especially like them having to deal with that. It's a double whammy in a sense. It's just them having to deal with both being Black and being a female within the community. And I think, it sucks that they have to go through that. So yeah, like that really hurts me. That honestly really hurts me. And in our Black letter law, it's in American society in comparison, like our Black letter law literally has it to where like we're treated as like 3/5 of a person back in the day in Article 1, Section 2. We've had to fight so long for the ability to just like live in the society, and we still have to deal with racism as a whole. So like I said, it's larger in American society, but that doesn't mean that it's not existent. It's non-existent in our community. So that's just the truth about it, really.
It's crazy. Like you always hear about all the stuff that Black women have to go through in just regular society, right? What's expected of them, how everything is so much harder for them. It's 10 times harder for them to just be a Black woman and do women things because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
And for the past couple explanations, it kind of seems like the same thing where like one of the bigger issues that, I've looked at it, but it's crazy how you would think that the FGC is kind of like a safe haven, right? It's a place where you can go to further dive into one of your interests. Something, as menial as fighting games, they still have to work just as hard within this scene as they do in regular life. That's crazy to me. Like, I guess it's something that I've paid attention to, but from the way you guys are saying it, it's unfortunate. Where it's just like, well, damn, like you already got to work 10 times harder to be a Black woman in regular society. You can't even come play these games.
Exactly.
And
like
be that.
It's a common thread. It's literally the common thread within this community.
Yeah, we got to fix that. We have definitely got to fix that. My goodness. Okay, on to the next. Mr. Cap One, you here?
Yes, sir.
All righty, sir. Next question to you, or same question to you. How does being Black in the FGC compare with being Black in American society for you, sir?
Yeah. So I'll say it's kind of like a weird intersection of being seen and not seen at the same time, where I would say there's more acceptance of being Black in FGC than normal society, but not so much more than just living in a Black city. Like if you live in Atlanta, it's pretty much the same as the FGC in terms of acceptance and whatnot, but you still encounter a lot of shit. I'd say the weird things, not the weird things, but just like the thing of like people are cool with you, but they hold some prejudices, they hold some ignorance that like you didn't think they would have. Like, I don't know how many times I had to explain like why people who are my friends or I would consider friends can't say the N word, and they're grown ass adults, but I don't know why I have to tell you that it's not a good thing to do. And you see that shit happen all the time. I thought it's just something that I would only see back in the day, back in like the early 2000s and to 2010s, but I've seen that shit happen with people who just got into the FGC in the past couple years. It's dealing with people not understanding shit they say about some of the best black players is racist as fuck. Like anytime Punt did something amazing, people saying some racist shit. People just making some really racist comments about goddamn, why am I forgetting his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Flat top dude, Street Fighter. Smug.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some messed up shit about him. Just in general, just a lot of people who like, I don't feel like they have that racism in their heart. Like they don't like view me differently or want bad shit to happen to me, but there's something in the back of their head where they haven't been around black people enough to know some shit is wrong and some shit you just don't say. But I feel like that's good in a sense because unlike the rest of American society, you're in a place of comfort. You're in a place where you can share with that person. You can share a mutual interest and break down some barriers to get them open to listen to what you have to say. Versus if you're in your classroom or at a place of business, those people have some different stakes in their relationship with you, and they may not take what you say to heart because they trying to watch their own backs, you know. I would say the other thing that I see in FGC, but just in esports in general, is that at the competitive level, you see a certain type of racism. At the tournament organizing level, at the behind the scenes level, you see some different shit. At the base level, you see like your stereotypical like, oh man, this dude said something really sexist, doesn't understand women, or this dude said something really racist, doesn't understand shit. But this dude doesn't really go out much. He's an introvert. FGC is his first exposure to like real people, and they're getting educated and learning. That's where like, man, that's some real dumb shit, but I can kind of accept it on some degree. Then you go higher up, and it's people in positions of power displaying that same type of behavior, where that shit kind of rubs you the wrong way, and you see a lot less of yourself in that. Yeah, I will say, like, as I became a TO, from just being a player to being a TO, a lot less of me, like, and some of it, you know, for real reasons, because it takes money to run that shit. But other times, it's just like, how come this person wasn't invited to the table? Like, how come I don't see the people from this region where most of the players are black and the best players are black, and the people I see volunteering and doing all the work are black, aren't running something.
Oh, he
like
preaching.
The person I see, you know, you don't actually know much about it. See, but somehow you're in charge,
right?
Or just at esports level, that shit where, oh man, I've worked with Tenno. They're a good production team. We're diverse. When I see the other production teams that we're there with, I do not see any black people. I see 2 or 3. And they're people who used to work for us or work with us collaboratively all the time. They just happen to be contracted. It feels weird being in this space where like we all love video games. We all play these games competitively. It feels weird to say this, but there are probably as many black people who play Street Fighter, BlazBlue, KOF as there are that play League of Legends. Probably even more so.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's definitely a thing.
Yeah. So I would say like being in the FGC, it does feel good because it is a space where I can play something that I love and see more representation and feel more comfortable. But I do have to deal with the same BS of code switching, trying to educate when I'm just trying to enjoy myself. But it's not as bad as it is in regular society where you got to deal with that shit and you got to bite your tongue way more often. But I will say the past 2 or 3 years has kind of brought some things to light too, where I don't know if I can trust the people the same way I used to. Like, there are people you hear rumors about and shit, but like all of the stuff that's been coming out kind of brings to the light just we got to do more to get people on the right track because this shit's out of hand.
Now, for the issue, well, I have two questions for you. Okay, so
Yeah.
for like you said, for like with on the bigger level when it comes to like TOs and stuff like that, do you feel like it's out of hand because we don't have the right people in place? And by that I mean there's not enough of us in place to make, in those situations in order to make these changes happen.
I would say on one level, there's cronyism, but that's in every industry, to be frank.
Mhm.
Like you hire who you know, and
Mhm.
if you're a venture capitalist, the people you know around you are other people who either are trust fund people or people who came up in the business where they have a lot of money, and a lot of those people aren't black. Like
Yep.
other people who
Yeah.
are black, usually those people are former pro athletes, former musicians, people who got
Mhm.
money in another industry
They got
are coming to contribute. That's how
they
you
got to
got Rick
invest their
Fox
money.
in the
Yeah,
FGC,
right.
where he got his money up.
Yeah, it's
Up,
like
you're breaking up a little bit,
Yeah, I
Cap.
think he,
But I guess talking about even at the grassroots level, like
Okay, there we go. He's back.
I would say people don't get some opportunities.
Yep, he's gone again.
Oh, am I better now?
Yes, we can hear you now. I can hear you now.
All right. I would say at the grassroots level, there's just an opportunity. Shit.
Must be on that wireless connection.
All right.
he.
Okay.
Probably.
Oh, here she got him for days. You got the full clip today.
Okay.
I-
So,
Yep.
um,
You can hear him now.
and I'm gonna.
He's a little jinky.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
Does it
in and
sound
out. He was cool
better?
for a minute. Yeah, he was floating for a minute there.
Am I still choppy? Okay. All right. I'm saying at the grassroots level,
There we go.
access is the thing that's probably the hardest thing that we can't overcome. Just because people don't normally associate a black face with someone trying to do business. Like
Yeah.
if you own like a bar and this young black kid comes approaching you to rent out your space, there's an inherent layer of suspicion with that. And are they going to get a return on their investment that they wouldn't have with a white person or an Asian person? I mean, in a lot of cases, people aren't like blatantly racist. They don't really think that they're doing that, but it comes that way. So like, even though like little micro things kind of affect what happens within the FGC in terms of just trying to get access and develop growth and whatnot.
Right. So my second question, because we got to transition here real quick. Just real quick. I know you touched on code switching here and there. Since you're on the corporate side of things, because you actually work for a big company, have you had to do much of that in your professional space?
Oh God, yes. Like always. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, to a certain level, you can be yourself more, but yeah, no, definitely code switching there. Like even right now, how I talk right now probably is not how I would talk if everything were offline. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would say code switching is definitely necessary in that space. And in FGC, you do it to some degree too, because if you talk in your full voice, people are going to stereotype you, and people aren't going to reach out to you for quite the same things because it's not professional.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So who do we have up next? Let me see here. Okay. Up next we have Mr. Chris Chaos. You here?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can.
All right.
Got that
You re-
GGPO connection.
You ready and
Yo.
raring to go?
All right. Yeah.
All right.
So I want to say that my experience, we'll talk about being black in the FGC and in American society is quite different from a lot of folks already. I want to say I'm one of the lucky ones. I was able to, get a lot of opportunities others did not have. Just more likely being at the right place at the right time. I've seen what everyone else has taught before me. I've seen some of that stuff happen, and I've even voiced why about things that I weren't what I'm not very happy about. Like ask anyone who's worked with me. I'm very vocal about these type of things and issues. So even though I didn't go through those things myself, I am aware that these issues are a thing. So I'll just go into explaining things. So pretty much always growing up, my family always been like treat everybody how you always want to be treated, but then also be aware of your surroundings. Like the always having to have a better understanding of like how you approach things. Code switching and such. That's been ingrained in my upbringing.
Right.
So like I've always made sure I take cautious steps in how I approach things and how I handle myself. I definitely got to see I definitely got to see a lot of that getting out of high school and joining the military.
Mm-hmm.
Had to do a lot of that. And had a lot of good experiences, had quite a few negative experiences, you know. And obviously being like someone who is like, of like the E6 and below, which is like like not quite a chief or an officer or anything like that, or anything like of that ranking, just being one of the lower guys. Like
Mm-hmm.
your voice isn't really heard too much unless you've like done something, you know. I got very lucky. I've helped the ship get a bunch of get power back online when we were pulling into Fort Lauderdale. So
Mm-hmm.
only until then, people started actually taking my word for like how equipment gets ran and such. And like, and I never understood why. Like I this is my job, this is my rank. This is what I went to school for. So why is no one listening to me? It took something big for me to actually get those opportunities. After that, I had a bunch of opportunities open to me. Not everyone, has an opportunity or chance to like show them, like prove themselves or show those type of things. To showcase their abilities to be given a chance.
Right.
And that's from like the real world aspect, like, and for the FGC, I am even more fortunate to not have to deal with any racism or anything like that directly come towards me. I've always grown up like walking walking proper, not crossing any lines, and standing up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like but so like being involved in the community, like I started going to tournaments around 2011, even though I was playing casually, like at like my local arcade, like though in high school and stuff like that. I didn't start traveling and going to events until around 2011 and getting introduced and acclimated to how the community works, and like moving to Chicago and getting in contact with a lot of the guys and how they run events, and it was and talking to other folks who were into the same things as I am. I didn't really have all that growing up. I was just seen as like that kid who just like was kind of a nerd and to himself, and you know I was into video games and I played a few sports, but like when you don't when you're not a guy who ends up getting like 6 foot or something, you kind of get dropped off.
Yep. I know all about this, man. Oh
like,
yeah.
Like I got the 5'8", and they were just like, "Sorry, dog, you can't get in on basketball team." So
Yeah, that's it.
so
dream is dead. Oh
yeah.
Lord.
So I got into more video games, and fighting games were a big thing growing up for me. Like having to deal with like older relatives beat me down in Mortal Kombat. But like moving on out of that, we're on some serious topics though. I do feel that like the FGC as of late, compared to how it used to be, is definitely making some steps forward to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But we have definitely run to across a couple hiccups. Let's be real here. We've definitely come across a few hiccups. Like from just like my 10 years of being involved directly, I do see an improvement. And like there is some stuff being better, but we do have to be we have to be better at acknowledging the issues as they come up. Because coming into this thing, I've always seen like the fighting game community as a meritocracy. Like you are rewarded for a lot of the work that you've done, and you get more lenience and leeway with things. And I'll say that even though that is some truth in that, because of the outside world influence on how they look at people of color, especially us black folks,
Mm-hmm.
like there's always like the second guessing, like yeah, I know they're good, I've seen them do this thing, but I don't know, and like I've seen it happen before. I didn't have to worry about any of that. Working with like folks that I worked with at UFGT, Combo Breaker, Frosty Faustings. I had like the staff for for those events. I'm very fortunate to have not run into those issues with any of the main staff, like the tournament operators and the other tournament organizers I worked with. I have not had to deal with that. But like like it's not to say it doesn't exist.
Right.
Like just because I haven't dealt with it doesn't mean that anyone else here hasn't dealt with it. And so like I would say that my experience of being black in the FGC has been much easier than it was in the real world. And a lot of that has to be with me just being in the right place and time. Given opportunities most others wouldn't have, especially at the time frame and era that I got into. And just making things happen so that I can actually have a word at the table or influence here and there for the community itself. And have I made mistakes on the way? Of course I have. I'm a human being. We're all human. We make mistakes, but everyone's willing to see like what I've done, and of course me always acknowledging if I've done something wrong has given people the faith and the belief to give me those chances. And I that's pretty much all I have to say about that. A lot shorter than what everyone else had to say, but that's all I got for that question.
So basically, your color has not influenced the opportunities that you've had within the scene, as opposed to the way that they would outside of the scene, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good one. And does everybody have a story about getting beat up in Mortal Kombat by their older cousins? Because that's what happened to me.
Nah,
That's
because I was
exactly-
nice and I played Frost and I knew real impale combos, honey. But I mean, you just talk to yourself now, okay? You spin on that.
No,
Let
there's,
me free.
there's two of
More
us.
valid.
That's happened to two of us now. I'm not alone anymore. Okay.
Nah,
Man.
you might be alone, brother.
You
I
saying
don't
us
know.
really free here? You saying us really crazy? I don't know about
We
you.
We read them strategy guys. We knew the moves. We were good to go. I don't know about y'all.
I was
got that thing on us.
I was getting that work. I was getting that work from my older cousins. That was rough. That's what put the fighting spirit in me. I lost that one night and I was like, never again.
It's all good
Never
though. It's all
again.
good. Like they won't play me in anything now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, they know better. It's the same. Okay, Mrs. Ziza, you're up.
Hey. Okay, so where do I start? Because the thing is that haven't really looked and thought about this question for a while because of like a lot of stuff that has recently happened. But one of the things when I entered the FGC, and it's always been this interesting fact that when I walk into spaces, people don't know what I'm trying to do. Like literally just sit down there because the thing is that I'm female, I'm black, and I'm older, and right now I know that I'm not going to go pro. I'm just there to relax. I'm also there to help other people grow their brands, grow something out of their hobby and stuff like that. That's what I do as when I was a project manager for another team and also currently being an owner for my team. So it was my thing is that I always have to go over that hurdle of being a woman, a black woman the FGC to gain that trust to know that I'm not here to do anything else but to work or grow my brand or do or also relax, like everybody else, So as I said before, it's just as I said, I also got hit by like something crazy for me where learning about how muted I am in this scene. Like just recently, if you look through my Twitter file, I have been very, very livid about two women in the scene, both POC, being harassed and hurt by a former mentor of them. And it's just been this roller coaster ride of learning that how much of a non-influence I am in certain parts of the scene but people DM me all the time going like, yo, you want to support my tournament, you want to do this, you want to do that, because I'm starting to grow my brand enough so people understand that Dynamic Focus is here as an influencer in certain parts. But it's just been, I don't know, as I said before, I'm personally like the whole conversation right now where everyone's repeating the same thing but back and forth. um it's just been crazy because like if you talked to me a few months ago, I would have had a different explanation. Totally different. I totally like I was clear as day. I knew the direction I was going in. I knew everything that was going about me, and everything was straight and narrow until I just got hit by someone basically taking advantage of other people. And I used to be their friend, you know? So, and it kind of piles on me because the thing is that all the stuff that I've done in the past where like, where the FGC and society actually interact, like I've been traveling Black men back and forth to different countries and everything like that. And their parents trust me to do that, you know? And in the back of my mind, there's always this like scenario where I could get somebody hurt because they are Black in society.
Right.
You know, where I've drove back and forth with everybody having the bestest time ever, and me on just looking out for police all the time because I'm a Black woman driving a BMW Sprinter.
Yep.
You know, so it's
And on top of that, you've got other people's lives in your hands too.
and
So,
lives in my hands,
right.
you know, and juggling that and juggling myself and everything like that, it is a lot of pressure and stuff. But and it's interesting, like this whole conversation has been interesting from the jump for me, because I always decided that if I can stay in the background just a little bit and everything will be fine, you know. And it and I always show up for the like to be selected for the outside for I always been selected for the diversity conversation. I'm never ever disappointed by that. I always want to be talking about it, but recently I just started looking at the conversation of esports and FGC and everything like that, and learning from a lot of people that we don't understand the economics of everything like that. I'm never going to be a part of those conversations,
right,
until I actually forcefully go into those conversations. We're like trying to get people to understand what's a sponsorship, what's an affiliate, what's a partnership. We don't know, you know, and getting people educated on that platforms too. We have to start doing that. We have to start educating us so that we are not trapped by it, you know. And it's interesting now because the thing is that a lot of us get trapped by people and stuff like that. And you know, that's my experience with the FGC is just like this education of like of us being in the sphere is not there. Like right now, what we're talking about it right now, which is great. But before, you know, like when I started on fighting games and stuff like that, I literally were playing in arcades with people who knew about the FGC and tournaments. I had no idea where they were, like where they went.
right.
And that was in my 20s, you know? So, and then later on in my 30s, that's when I actually discovered the FGC or how to get there. Because nobody was having these discussions, or no one was telling another Black woman of where to go. You know? So
Now, when you
I
say
don't
they weren't telling you where to go, they mean they weren't telling you where like the big tournaments and majors and stuff were like
no,
that
I
were.
didn't know. I
Oh
didn't know.
wow!
No.
And
I
you
just
played it
knew
in
it.
arcade and they didn't tell you?
Yeah, I've been playing in arcades and everything like that. Moving along. I'm in New York too, you know?
Oh, that's
But
even crazier.
it's crazy here. Yes. 'Cause before that
Mm.
wasn't even a discussion. You had to figure it out on your own, you know? So later on, when like I learned about the New York City bar scene that
Mhm.
where they were actually playing video games and stuff like that, you know, when I fully committed to my job as an engineer and literally just found me and my best friend found out where to go from the scene back then. And still
Mm.
it was like still the New York City bar scene was just like, how did you find out where we were? And I'm like, we just randomly found a Facebook post.
Oh,
And
wow.
then yeah, like our communication still is a little bit more janky. It was much better than before.
Mhm.
But the communication of like actually finding out where we are, who we are, and stuff like that, it's not there.
Now
And it leaves some
now
people, huh? Hmm?
now was that because that's crazy to me because New York's one of the big meccas, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It
and
is. Big mecca for
you know,
East Coast.
yeah, and
Like
especially
you have to remember, like there's a lot of gamers that I talk to do not know where NLBC is.
Yeah,
that's insane.
it's very true.
Yeah.
Accessibility has
Mhm.
always been an issue in the FGC, and it's
Hmm.
like when you start talking about, uh, women, LGBTQ plus people, non-binary people trying to access that, they're not always immediately given the same tools that other people receive straight up front.
See,
And
that
I
was
think
my
that's
question.
what Aziz is talking about here. Is like
Yeah,
it's
that was
not necessarily immediate gatekeeping. It's just like by just not being a male in the right area, you're not always
that
given that same information.
No.
that's what I was gonna ask because I was just like, well, with all the players there, were they not telling you because you know it didn't seem like a they didn't want you to know thing. It's more like a, oh, she's a girl. She must not really want to dive into this the way that we're thinking. That's just crazy that even your own
It's really
scene would
interesting.
lock you out of that.
Yeah, it's not even that they're locking me out of that. It's just that the conversation never even happened. You
That's ins-
know? I
that's
mean,
crazy.
I've been in college, I literally was like the video game track leader for Icon, which is a big, huge sci-fi convention that used to happen in Long Island.
Hmm.
And never had these conversations. People from the FGC would come through while I was doing tournaments and running tournaments for the convention. You know, I did like 64-man smash brackets on a
Hmm.
day, and no one would tell me about this.
Right. That's insane. I I don't even I can't imagine. I mean, back in the day, like when I stepped into an arcade, that's all I needed to do. Like once people figured out that you played, I kind of just got all the information told to me. Like, oh hey man, like if you want to play more, we hold tournaments here. This is here. This is here. These are the big tournaments that everybody goes to. Like the information was kind of just flooded to me.
Yeah.
But to hear that you were in the arcade scene and didn't get that is just it's baffling. It's just like, okay, was it like that because she's a woman? Because if so, that's terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like that's absolutely terrible. From what Sharpie says, the accessibility problem, I guess that's what this falls under. Because you're a woman, people didn't really give you that information because they didn't think it was something that you needed or
Yeah,
something like
because
that.
it's not something that because I wasn't um in the beginning, like they're like, oh, she's just playing casually, she's not gonna be interested in it or anything like that. It's just literally this information was not transferred to me. I did not
Mm,
know
It's
where you were
legit,
going.
just blanket assumption.
It's
yeah,
literally blanket
yeah,
assumption.
just
Yeah,
You
straight
know,
up.
Terrible.
Like yeah. That's where it's getting me because that's man, that's rough.
Like now you're fighting a stigma, basically. We know it's like a large thing, but the fact that you're just fighting something that's so like indoctrinated is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
amongst
mean,
your own scene, that's even
amongst
worse,
your own
man.
scene, but I'm starting to say this more often, but like fighting for your existence is so exhausting that
Mm.
at the same point, like at my age, like I've been so jaded by it that I don't get it at all
Mhm.
Right.
because I've been vehemently fighting for my existence all the time. You know, not a lot of people get to see that. Like, you know, you're a gamer, people tell you information, everything like that. I have to basically inform you of my existence before I get a pass.
Right.
You know, and I
Mhm.
understand that. Like, you know, like a lot of people, like you're right now, just kind of might be like kind of dumbstruck, like thinking about how many times you actually had to fight for your existence just
Mhm.
in life,
Mhm.
just so somebody can accept you.
Right.
So,
And then to do it, and then to have to do it again as not just a woman, but a black woman within the FGC.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
And
always
somebody
been,
and somebody that's trying to do bigger things than just be a player. You know what I'm saying? That's, yeah, I can only imagine.
yeah. It's a lot of things, but that's the reason. That's the reason why I'm like I put myself and try to amplify my voice, not for me, but for people that needed their voices amplified. Because a lot of
Right.
things with the FGC, we're literally like a tiny blip when it comes to esports. And then
Correct.
when you learn about um the hierarchy and other people who are team owners and investors and everything like
Mm.
that, they
The inner
never heard
circle.
of y'all. They
Mhm.
never heard of us at all. And then when you go to these, I've been to New York parties where you actually meeting influencers in the gaming scenes when before COVID, you know, and
Mhm.
you meet a celebrity who's like, I love Mortal Kombat. I'm like, have you heard of Sonic Fox? And they're
Mhm.
like, who's that?
Mm.
And these people are financially able to invest in you. We're so learning about how small you are in the system is very interesting.
Right.
So
Okay. Whew. Man, that first question came with a whole lot of heat. You know what I'm saying? My goodness. It's a good way to open up. So what we'll do now is move on to the second question and keep this conversation going, because I think a lot of good points are really getting made. It's kind of hard to put everything together. Like, I'm definitely the type that kind of just, I'm a conversation guy. So when I hear things, like, I always want to pick out all these points, but you guys are making so many good points that it would take forever in a day for me to break every single one of them down. Okay. You need to take a break, sir? Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we will be back with the second segment of this roundtable talk.
During the break, if you could go to playtfh.sharpiepls.com, you can pick
With
up
the plug, straight
Fighting
through,
Herds immediately and
with the
Humble Bundle.
plug.
Support the indie
Wow.
game
Okay.
developers 2.0 coming out soon. Tough
Dang.
Velvet. Playtfh.sharpiepls.com.
Yo,
How many times do you practice this in the mirror? Because you are
the
good.
Sharpie
Yeah.
segue.
Like if Say Jam will run for his money.
Word.
Honey Say Jam learned from me. Honey Say Jam learned from me. We
Ladies
interrupt
and
you
gen-
from this fantastic break of playing Guns Fighting Herds for a real conversation.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, God.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of Ronin Rumble Roundtable Talk. Real talk, real people. Once again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the topic of being black in the FGC. It's been great so far, and we're on to part 2, aka question 2. We're gonna go from the other side of the other side and go back up. So Aziza, you'll be first, if that's
Great.
okay with you.
Okay.
Okay, so the question is, where can the FGC change to support diversity and inclusivity, especially for Black people? And how do we make this happen?
Ah, jeez. All right.
And this is a good one for you because as a team owner, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure your perspective on this is going to be a little bit different than what I'm thinking about.
So I've always been talking about that where the FGC change support diversity and inclusivity, especially. Okay, so I mean, the biggest thing that we actually have to do is talk about ourselves. It's not even like um it's the first thing right now is basically talk about ourselves. Like our like you have so many people doing so many things in the FGC, and a lot of people don't even know that that exists. You know, and there's other places that we can go to talk about ourselves, getting to know other people, getting to know the networks of different people. Like other there's POC in play. You know, there's Black Girl Gamers. There's places where you can go and tell these people that you exist because they also don't know that you exist. So the biggest thing is basically trying to get that word out there for you that you exist. I've traveled to different conventions outside of the FGC just to talk about my existence for you. I don't have the media platform to do it, also because I don't have the time for it. But just to do the networking talk helps, you know. And a lot of the times, the people that get into there are the people with the larger followings, the larger everything. They're always being hit because everybody else for investors, they're really lazy. They don't want to look to try to find quality work. They're just looking for quantity of work. You know? So the basically like even if I don't have a time for you to share your voice or share anything, I will try to on every level try to do that. And just making sure that your voice gets heard. And also another thing too. Because this worked for one of my players. If you help somebody and they can't afford it, tell them to shout you out on Twitter. Because just that person telling them that they helped you with something helps you in the long run to get other opportunities. Because nobody knew you existed.
Yep, it's networking.
It's networking.
Mm-hmm. And that's
A lot of
valuable.
people don't do that. A lot of people just go and say, "Can I get help with something?" And someone just helps them, and then they're like, "Peace out." Don't mention them on Twitter. Don't mention them on anything. Don't say anything. You have to start doing that because now just speaking your truth helps you out so much more. People shouting you out helps you so much more because just those numbers actually happen. Like it's 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 like a strange new technology out there, and I know Sharpie's going to talk about it because she's been hitting up every single social media app that possible just to speak about us. But at the same time, it's just like it has to happen. Y'all need to talk about yourselves. That's what I say about that.
CJ, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. You're muted.
See, that's me getting y'all. That's making sure I give y'all time to talk. Um, so basically, what you're saying is we got to help each other help ourselves. Correct?
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
For the most part.
And then what do you think is missing? Because like you said, you go to parties outside of the FGC and try to talk to investors and people that really have, money to throw around. What do you think we need to do to increase our inclusivity in those realms?
Some things you just have to. We have to. Number one, if you can find it, go to it.
Mhm.
If you find it, go to it. Don't, no matter what you think you are or how high you think you are on the totem pole, just getting into a conversation with somebody is very important. It's extremely important for you. Yeah.
Putting the buzz in their ear.
Just to put the buzz in their ear. Because a lot of people don't even know you exist. And they should, because they really want to be part of it. They just don't know how.
And
The
with all the people
conversation
that
is
are
actually broken.
and with all the people that are looking for this to be like an actual form of income, you know what I'm saying? Like people want to be sponsored and be on parts of teams and stuff like that. Like, there's only so much to go around right now. And if there's ever going to be more of that, then we really got to increase our reach to these people who can help us with that. I just don't think there's enough people like yourself who know how to get in that networking space to get us there. So the fact that you bring yourself to the forefront to talk about all these things is actually really good because, somebody could have strength in that. There could be more people that could go to these parties just like you and talk to these people that, that are willing to help us out. They just don't know that that's an aspect that people are out there trying to do. So.
Yeah. So, so I'm sorry.
We got to get you. What? We got to get you a street team. That's what we need.
I've been trying, but that's a conversation for another day. But as I said before, you have to speak your truth into everybody's circle. If you know somebody, just talk about yourself.
Right.
If you have a tournament coming up, literally you can DM a team, and they're like, "Oh shit, I didn't know this exists," and then they tell their people.
And they send somebody.
Like, it's not like just talking about yourself helps a lot. Completely. We don't know, like, and I said before, the investors are very lazy. They don't. They're very lazy. They just go and see, okay, who's on the top. All right, I'm just gonna talk to them. That's it.
Whatever's the quickest way to get their investment back. That's all they're worried about.
Because all it's about is money. That's all it's about.
Exactly. That's it. But I mean, if you can present the product, they'll throw the money at you.
Of course, but and also when Black History Month ends, are they gonna think about me later?
Honey, you spitting. Honey, you best just see my emails to see how they increase February 1st, sweetheart.
Oh my
I'm like that too. I'm just sitting out here like, okay, are you gonna think about me later? No? Okay.
Because February 28th, where are they?
Yeah. Where are they?
March 1st, don't got nobody up in there. Talk to them. Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Hey, Mr. Chris, you're up next, sir. Where do you think we can change the support and diversity and inclusivity, especially for Black people within the FGC, and how do we make this happen?
All right. Well, I can speak from a bit of experience from like how things worked out for me for this year. A lot of it goes back to what Aziza was saying. You got to put yourself out there, Like when I first got into this community, I was like, a mediocre player, but like I was willing to like go to these events, get good networks, socialize, talk to who was who. So I was hitting up everything like NEC, Evo, freaking final round, like, and of course my local stuff, UFGT before that became Combo Breaker, and a lot of it was me promoting myself and putting and investing in like these games that I love and care for, this community that I really want to see thrive. And like, I did get a lot of flack for it, like people saying I was fake or just try to like do like try to get some other alternative motive or something. But a lot of it was because I wanted to be involved and I cared.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is that when you're doing that, you can't let that get to you. Like,
Right.
no, people are gonna say shit about you all the time. That's something that you just got to grow up, understand. It doesn't matter, like if they're on the outside and they see you trying to better yourself or like try to get some type of success, and it starts to happen. Oh, you're gonna hear it. You are definitely gonna hear it. So don't let any of these folks tell you that you can't do shit, bro. Real talk. I've had to go to all these events. I've had to commentate on other people's folks comment streams. I've commentated for Spooky. I've done like one or two things with Bifu Teki. I've done some stuff with a lot of folks, and me constantly putting myself out there really helped me get involved in the inner workings of larger events.
Right.
So it's a lot of it has to do with more on us, promoting ourselves and letting a helping hand when we can. But I'd also like to see a lot of these events give us a chance.
Right.
If any of us are coming to you and want to do something and we showcase that we're qualified, don't be afraid to give us a chance. If we got it on the resume, and especially if you can look back and see it and see the successes, and the growth of what we've been doing and how we're going about these things, in order for us to get that chance, we have to put ourselves out there and people have to be willing to give us a chance. Other than that, I don't for this particular type of subject, it's more just that's pretty much. I wish I had more to say. I really did.
No, I think you are saying a lot. You know what I'm saying? And for you, kind of like how Aziza is, trying to do it on the more corporate side, you're one of the people that's trying to push things on the more technical side. You know what I'm saying? Like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that big up players. You know what I'm saying? We know a lot of the players that win tournaments and have their streams and all that other stuff, but I don't think there's enough people, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's enough people that really are informed of the people that are trying to push themselves within the inner workings of this scene, like the behind the scenes stuff, especially us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it would be cool if, I think it's just a sharing of information thing where people just need to know more about that. Like, what is it behind the scenes that, I know people kind of know what goes on behind the scenes, but they don't. And to know that there's people of color, aka Black folks, that are actually trying to get into that side of it, we should be big up in them too. You know what I'm saying? And we should be more educated on what it is exactly that they're trying to do, because you never know, that might suit some of us just as well too. Like you there's a lot of people that want to get in the scene and just be the big player, win Evo and do all that other stuff, but it's just like, hey, these wheels keep turning, but there's people that turn those wheels. So guys like you that are actually trying to, pursue something in the inner workings need to be appreciated more, and they need to be, what it is that you're trying to do probably needs to be understood on a bigger scale.
Yeah, I
because shoot, if there's that many, if there's this many of us in the scene already, you never know, like that somebody could be missing their calling just because they're focused on the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, hey, you didn't get out of pools, but you could be that guy over there running the stream. That could be you. You know what I'm saying?
You know what they say, those who can't commentate,
Exactly.
Like Cola, right?
Oh wow!
You had to hit with that.
Yo,
you had to hit with that. That's okay. That's okay.
She didn't pop like
That's
4
okay.
I can't believe I got shot
and I'm gonna see you in
standing
Strive.
next to St.
I'm gonna
Cola.
see you in Strive, sis.
That's
I'm gonna see.
wild.
Hey, you do that to Dan too?
Yo,
Dan?
that was
Can you
Cole, it's on
bro. She look, check this out. She done already popped like 4 or 5 out the clip, guys. Y'all gotta be careful, man. She is packing over there.
This is why I came with a vest.
Never should have given me a
This is why I came with a vest, dog.
My
I'm strapped
goodness.
Like, I'm laced up like 50 Cent, man.
Oh Jesus! All right, let's keep it going. Mr. Cap One, you're up next. Now, like I said, the question was, where can the FGC change to support diversity and inclusivity, especially for Black people, and how does that? I mean, how do we make this happen?
Yeah.
Oh, he's muted.
So a couple different. Oh, am I still muted? Can you hear me okay?
It says
We
I can hear you. It says you're muted for some reason, but yeah, you're good.
Okay. So a couple different levels. On the individual level, is don't wait for shit to happen. You have to change happen yourself. Plain as day, I think literally every person in this panel got this because they saw something that wasn't happening or something they wanted to do. It happened. Like I became an FGC CEO because.
Oh, hey, Cap One, let me. I don't mean to cut you off real quick. Is he cutting out for the rest of you guys?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I don't even hear
Okay.
him.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if that was just me, so I didn't want to just stop him. My bad, brother. Yeah, you're chopping up on us again.
Damn, I'm hating this. I'm gonna do this from my phone. All right.
You sound good now. You sound
sounding
good
better now. Okay. So yeah, just on the individual level, it is just taking action yourself. If you want to be something in the FGC, you need to do it yourself. You shouldn't wait for an initiative or for an organization to form something to make that happen. It should be you leading the charge no matter what, if you want actual change to happen. Every single person in this panel got to their place in the FGC because of their own desires and their own action. I myself rolled up ranks because I attended the tournament. I was just a player. The game I liked didn't have a TO anymore. And I decided to do that shit. Didn't know what the F I was doing, but I figured it out. And just
what game was that, Cap One? What game was that?
Ironically, it's Mortal Kombat, which I don't really play much. But yeah, no one was running that tournament at Wednesday Night Fights. And then I started doing that. Then it somehow led to me doing all of the games at a certain point, and then just being the person for Wednesday Night Fights in the run back when that still happened. But yeah, like it takes individual desire, individual action in order for big changes to happen. Like movements are made up of individual people, not just corporations and people in power. So you have to take individual action to make change happen. On a higher level, though, for people in positions of power or influence, when they fuck up, there needs to be real consequences. I think we've seen time and time again that there are people who've made missteps and people who've just shown outright horribleness, who've gotten pretty
slaps on the wrist,
or in other cases, they got punished. But instead of facing some downtime, it became their come up. Like people dug into oh, this person's kind of racist. I like that. They didn't say anything wrong. I have those views too. Let me amplify them. Like we've seen it this week with that Gina Carano, that type of shit. It's happened within our community where someone who has said something messed up got a giant amount of support, or when someone was a victim, got a giant amount of anguish. We have to get to a place where when someone does something wrong, they actually get real consequences, and someone can come take their place and do it the right way. I think the other thing, though, is that for those who are in positions of power, they need to do more to help others come up. As I said, people should do something on an individual level, not just at lower level, but mentorship is something that's very important in making sure that people can do things and know what they're doing. I know when I was coming up, Alex Valle is the one who helped me kind of learn the ropes, get to do all this shit. I don't know if I would be where I'm at had that guy not trusted me to run his tournament. So it takes having someone in position of power to take action to help people and encourage diversity as well, not just those on the lower levels.
Okay. Each one teach one, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel you on that. Definitely feel you on that one. Let's see who's up next here. Sonic Soul.
I'm here.
All right, sir. your turn. Where can the FGC change to support diversity and inclusivity, especially for the Black people, and how do we make this happen?
So I will say first and foremost, things like Combo Queens and EXO Academy do really good work already for the scene, fighting for not just Black people alone, but for women of color and just for women in general. So I'm already happy that that's a thing. Um, I also know that like the FGC has also created like a fighting game community code of conduct. Now, I do know that some parts of it, I have some issues with some of the wording of some of the clauses, but I do think it's still a step in the right direction because it puts the groundwork for rules that were not really like spoken, because
Mm-hmm.
usually like most of these rules we all know how to respect each other, but I feel like there's some people who really just don't get it. So that's why those rules have to be put in place for people to see that there's a thing. But it's not just that. I think enforcing it is part of it too, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be a way for people to enforce it. And I know that they're saying that TOs can adopt it, so that way they can use it, and that's one thing, right? But we've been having this discussion around the roundtable so far. You know, who's in these positions of power, right? Like that's the other thing too. It comes into question: are there people like us that will also help to enforce this code of conduct? Is it not just something that will be? These are questions that you have to think about. So I really want to know, like in the future, like will there be people like us to enforce the FGCOC? Not just the people that we know that are already in power, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing I'd like to see more of us in those type of positions. Um, the other thing too, I think in terms of like in terms of like the regular player, like because for me I compete. That's the main thing I do. I know I just compete, but I know I stream. I've done TO stuff too, but like on like online stuff really. But my point is, if you're a regular like player and whatnot, I think focusing on the game is the main thing, right? Focusing on the game is the main thing, but also like just being informed of what goes on. Like I I know that we try to go into the FGC just to escape from some of the problems, but those problems catch up to us. So
Mm-hmm.
we at least have to be on the forefront to be like, okay, this is happening within our community. What's going on, right? The whole community was caught aback last year with all these different scandals that came out. So I think if we are just better prepared, if we're actually looking like, and seeing what's happening, not just turning a blind eye, if we're just a regular like person, like we just have to be responsible as regular players too. So you're going there to play, but just realize, just be responsible at the same time. Something happens, you say something about it. You don't just sit there and let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I was mentioning before when we were on break, I did say like, in an interview way back when with Malcolm X, he said like, we should have like black owned businesses or like black owned places, and I think that's a thing that I still am up for. Now I know, I was talking with Sharpie earlier and she was saying like, well, if you do that, then the whole power structure comes crumbling apart, and people don't like that. But I still feel like we still have to try, you still have to put yourself out there, and you still have to like go out and do it, and I think like having those black owned places is important. I see even in the chat here, Bifu Tucky was saying, everything he's doing is just black owned, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the fact of that being a thing, like at least to show that like we're there, like we're actually, doing something for the community. That's another thing too, you know. So I think that's the main thing. It's just knowledge is power. Knowledge is power
Right.
at the end of the day as well. Like we all have to be able to know what's going on, and also just try to put ourselves out there. So
Right.
that's part of the main thing with me that I think will help to increase diversity.
Yeah, the whole black owned thing is really good. I mean, I think that's something that's been preached to us growing up, and just our history and in terms of what we need to do to fix where we are in this country. That's one of the
Yes.
bigger things. So to hear that it's happening within the FGC is actually that's really cool. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that, people don't get the wrong idea about that, where it's like, oh, well, you know, all black, what's that about? And it's just like, well, you got to understand, like, it's different. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
not
that
the
means
thing when I
that
when
that
I
means
say
something
that it's
different for
not
us.
when I say that it should be black owned, that's not to say like, oh well, we just want the same like type of thing that's happening. No, what I'm trying to say is that we matter too. You know, we exist too. You know, the fact that like, you know, Aziz, she literally has to go out of her way just to be known. Like,
Right.
It's crazy to me. Right, we
Right.
should be working together, like completely. Like we should be able to sit at the table and decide, you know, what happens for the community. And I think not even allowing for like one side to even get their point across, and especially just the fact of, you know, black women in general not even being able to say anything half the time without issues arising. Like it's just for me, like that shouldn't be a thing. Everybody should have
Right.
a voice. Everybody should be
Right.
able to advocate for themselves. And I will say, like, yes, you have to go out there and do it yourself. You have to take the opportunity, like Chris Chaos, like Aziz, and everyone else has been saying. And I really agree with that. But it's also hard when you get shut down every time you try to do it too. So it's about, if you can't like get in that one position where people will let you in, you have to make it yourself. You have to try something. You know, you can't just it's either one or the other. You know, so
If you can't join them, beat them, right?
yeah.
You got to kick the door in sometimes. I understand. If people ain't gonna give you a way, you got to make a way, and there's plenty of us, so we can do that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just the narrative that we're trying to push for doing that is what people would need to understand once that starts happening, because you know it's important. Like you said, there's a lot of issues that need to get addressed. There's a lot of things that don't really get handled the right way, and it's like it's been said, there's not enough people in place to make sure those things get enforced and pushed the right way. So
That's the main thing I'm talking about when it comes like the FGCOC. I support it, but I want to know, like, you know, I know that there are people that are there already that have been given like a list of names, but what about people like us? Like, where does that fall in line? Like, that's
Right.
what I want to know. How is that going to be enforced for us? How is that going to be enforced for, you know, people like us in the community? So,
right,
things that I think about all the time.
very good point, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of true because of the FGC COC, like they don't tell you about how they're going to enforce anything and what's the infractions and everything like that. So basically, they're just telling you what not to do, but they're not saying what the punishments are. They don't even say about like not just punishment, but like how will you like redeem this person, or this person has a goal for like anger management or anything like that.
Yeah,
There's
what's the rehabilitation behind it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If we're handing out real consequences, what exactly are these real consequences?
consequences. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
what is the
actually a really good
rehabilitation?
point. Yeah, because like America specifically has a history of coming down on Black America and offering no rehabilitation whatsoever. And so inside of a place where we're predominantly Black,
Exactly.
that's a
Yep.
really good point. That's a really
Right.
good point that I did not actually ever think about before you said that. That's kind
That's
of
what
terrifying.
Yeah, it's
that
like one of
is
those things where
that
the
is
person got like
that is what we're here for.
I'm sorry,
That's what we're here for.
that was a
that's
really
why
good
that's
point,
why it's good
Sonic.
to be just have a lawyer on the side, and you just like, we want to talk about this, and we just talked about it, and we're like, where's the rehabilitation? And we're like, pop, because both of us are POC,
Really,
so we're just
really
like,
good
okay,
point, yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing because you know, Sharpie, it is your turn.
Oh, is it now?
Yes,
Oh
it
no,
is.
y'all
You're
don't
up
want
now.
to. Okay, so I know I'm very aware that Sonic stated a little bit about something that was spoken about regarding the break that I'm not going to repeat because I like to stay gainfully employed. But there are things that I think that we as a community can do to change that I don't necessarily feel comfortable sharing. What I will say is that I come from, as everyone knows, the Skullgirls community, which isn't a large majority in the fighting game community.
Yeah.
It's not in and of itself. And unlike many people who have come up inside of this community, although I was a TO, I was mostly known as a content creator. And then I became more known as a TO, but I had to, like everyone's been saying, they had to establish themselves. What I would actually say is that it's not always just about establishing yourself. It's about doing it your way. Because everyone's out here trying to get noticed. Everyone is. That's a fact. For every single person on this panel, there's probably 20 more people that tried to do the exact same thing as us and failed. And the reality is, you're probably gonna fail when you try to do something the first couple of times. You're going to fail. It's going to happen. What I would say is that attempting is better than not doing it at all, which is what I see a lot of. And I think Cap really touched on it. There are a lot of people who talk about what they need to do to change. There was a long conversation in general back in June and July about everyone being like, well, we need a code of conduct now. But there have been people screaming about that for eons before. I know I was one of those people. I know people inside this chat were some of those people. We have been saying that we wanted this to happen, and it wasn't until it started affecting people's money that we saw people taking it seriously. Now, I'm not out here telling y'all to like stop buying some TO's event if you don't like what they have to say about grapplers, because I'm not gonna be that person.
Here she
But what
another one out the clip. God.
y'all out here not expecting the Sharpie segues, and I don't know. I came to disappoint. Okay. What I'm saying here is that there are people in the community who aren't going to like the way that you do something because it's not the way that they did it. And what I'm saying is, if you know that you aren't hurting someone by doing it, if you know that you're not actively affecting the community in a negative way, and if you know that what you're doing is going to help the community in the long run, I challenge you to find a new, innovative way of dealing with certain types of growth, because that's the only way we as a community will change. In the same boat, I challenge everyone who has tried to stop people from growing certain types of way to open up their mind a little bit more and to see that the collectiveness of people that exclusively go to tournaments is not the entirety of the fighting game community. Aziza brought up, there's some people that don't know about Next Level. I work with some of those people. Those people spend significantly more time playing some fighting games than people inside of my Discord and some streamers that I know. These people are still members of the fighting game community. These people still spend money for some reason subscribing to people. They still spend money going to Evo and going to offline events. Occasionally, they may not be playing, but they'll go just to go see a friend or go see someone amazing. These people watch our events and these people support our events. And just because they're not out here streaming or being visible or hosting your event doesn't mean they're not a part of the community. And that is something we really, really need to start changing. Not everybody inside of this community is visible. And the sooner that we figure that out, and the sooner that we become more accessible, the sooner we become more organized, the sooner we stop defining who is a part of our community, that's the minute our community will actually start experiencing the same growth we've seen in other communities in general, for better and for worse. And what it really is, it's our responsibility as leaders, as organizers, as content creators, as influencers, as pillars in this community to direct that community on how we act and how we treat others in this community.
Okay. That was a good one. Man,
that's all I can say without being banned.
No,
y'all know what I want to say.
I mean, I'm just walking around here
Look,
just
Tupac was
supporting
spitting the same
grapplers.
stuff till he got shot at. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
When you're touching on the people that that don't know where Next Level is and stuff like that, right? And you're saying that we need to increase accessibility and things like that. Are you saying that we need to make the people who aren't players and prominent in the scene just as important as the players and the people that are prominent in the scene?
I'm saying that I've never placed inside of a top 8 at a Skullgirls major before in my life.
Yes,
Yet
ma'am.
who do people think of when they hear Skullgirls? Me. Little old me. And what do? All I do is I post and I stream, right? I support the community just as much. I organize events. Yes, I understand I'm an outlier in that regard. But what I'm saying is, what would have happened if someone came up to me and said, why are you even streaming this game? You're not a part of this community, multiple times over. What would have happened if my close friends started doing that? What would have happened if every single person coming into my stream, including members of the community, what would happen if Sonic Fox came in my stream and said, oh, Sharpie? Nah, she's not a part of our community. All she does is stream. What would have happened?
Right.
I wouldn't
That's
be
what
here.
I was getting at. Where you don't get as
And the reality is, I have seen enough people very talented individuals inside this community and multiple games that do not get attention had the
Just because
exact
they're
same
not
thing
top
happen
players.
to them. Prominent players, prominent TOs that
Right.
will respect
Mhm.
me just by merit of, oh yeah, Sharpie plays Skullgirls, assuming I can compete with like Sage or Sonic or Ken and Black, and I can't compete with those mofos. They nice at this game, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all, okay? 6-way mix-ups, I'm blocking 0% of the time, honey. I'll be the first one to tell you.
Mhm.
But I love that game. I have passion for that game, and I have energy
Right.
to put into that game. And you need to stop taking away from people just because their skills don't translate in game, because their skills
That's
may translate somewhere else. And that is something that
that's
this community is very guilty of doing.
Mhm.
that's exactly what I thought you were saying. And that is really big, where like you literally get judged on your skill. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's it. Like it doesn't matter how
Yeah.
much you support the game. It doesn't matter how much you support your scene. It doesn't it doesn't matter how much you support, you know, anything that pertains to, you just having a passion for the game that you play. If you're not good enough, certain people will just straight up say everything you're doing is useless when it's
Yeah,
not.
that is the
Earlier in
double-edged
this,
sword.
oh, sorry.
Oh, my
Uh,
bad. I didn't speak to mean to
I
speak over
was
you.
gonna say as a final moment, because I know I'm probably running low on time here, was that
Oh, you good?
someone earlier in this conversation on this panel stated that, this FGC is about skill first and
That's what I
foremost, not
said. Yeah,
about
yeah.
gender or sex or anything like that. And that is a statement that I agree on. That is something that we have been founded on, and that's something that I
Mhm.
still think that the FGC fights for. What I think people get it conflated with is that skill is the only thing that matters
Yeah.
in this community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Personal
the
Double-edged
improvement,
sword.
it matters
Yeah.
first and foremost. The FGC is about bettering yourself as a
Yeah.
person. When we say
Yeah.
skill, we're talking about inner development, and Daigo will be the
Yeah.
first and
Uh,
last person to fight that for you.
Not
He'll
even.
tell you that straight up
Yeah.
too.
It's
Well,
not
and then on
even
top of
that.
that, one person can't make a scene.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yep.
never like that. Like the best player cannot push a game. That's not how it works. It's the scene that contributes to that. And there's all it's like you're saying, it's everything you're touching on. There's so many different parts of that the people who create content for it, the people who write reviews and breakdowns and stuff like that. All that matters. The people who show up and cosplay for the game because they love the damn game. You know what I'm saying? People who make
Mhm.
merch for the game, people who just enter tournaments because they love it. I mean, ain't no pot if you ain't got no players. So everybody's important.
Facts. Big
You know what
facts.
I'm saying? Everybody's important. So I guess when it comes to inclusivity of that point, it's that people got to get off their high horses sometimes and stop pushing this narrative that like you only matter if you're a top player. Because a lot of those people
Yeah.
who make that a lot of people who push that narrative in the first place ain't top players themselves. So
Yeah, Smash is a fighting game. I agree.
oh
May,
Lord,
may I
I
add
ain't touching
something
that
at
one.
least?
Yes, sir.
So, so, so there's something about this too that I want to mention because there was an interview that was done on Topanga. I think it was almost a year back by Tokido and Gachi-kun, and they asked Tokido, "What do you think? Like, what makes the strongest player in the FGC? Like, what is the strongest player? What do you think makes the strongest player?" And what he said was that the strongest player is someone who's well respected within the community. It's not
Mm.
somebody who wins a tournament. You can't just win multiple tournaments or one tournament and be like, "Oh, well, I'm the strongest," right? Because the thing is, he said it could either be, well, your character might have been good, or it could have been the time, the game, the place, the way the bracket was matched up, a multitude of things that could have put you in that spot too. It's not just you alone. And
Right.
he said that the one staying power that's there is how much you're willing to contribute for the community. It's literally like how well respected are you by the community for them to see you as a leader moving forward. So that was something that I think it really struck to me when I heard it when Topanga was having that interview with him at the time. So it's definitely about what you can do to support the scene. It's not always about winning, because just as much as you can win, someone can take you down and then you're irrelevant again.
Yep.
Exactly. And sometimes it's more entertaining to watch different people. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain people who may not win tournaments, but I guarantee you I'll click on their YouTube videos before I'll click on the person who does win tournaments sometimes,
True.
Because they're entertaining. Those are the people that I like to see, and all that stuff is important. And like you guys have touched on, that's something that everybody really needs to get in their own headspace about. And I think one of the hard things about that is that there's so much competition out here because like Sharpie said, everybody wants to be seen. You know what I'm saying? So finding every way to like kind of put somebody below you to keep you at a certain spot is just something I think people do inherently because they don't want to get pushed out of the spotlight themselves. But we're all here for the same thing. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of space to go around. Everybody can create content. Everybody can show up to a tournament and do what you want. If you love the game and you love what we do, that should be what's important. And that's what we should be supporting 100%. Let's see. Who's up next? St. Cola.
Yes, sir.
All righty. You're up, sir. Question is, do you need the question or you got it?
I've been thinking about my answer for a while. So I think I'm good. So let me jump into this.
Fire on off.
Got it, bro.
Sir. Go ahead.
So my thing is it's a two-part thing. And I kind of want to go off, avoid what you guys are, because you guys have already covered and gals have already covered so much already. But from our point of view, from the POC point of view, one thing I want us to do to help change, diversify the scene is just keep being black. And that's going to sound kind of weird to people who don't know, but keep being black. You know what? I'm going to the Capcom finals this weekend, right? And I actually had a crisis. I said, should I shave my head? Should I go should I cut off my fro? And I'm like, no, this is natural. Why would I cut this off? I look good in this. I'm going to keep it natural. And if the people don't like it, they can just, hold that L. You know what I'm saying? They can hold that L.
That boy said, I look good. He ain't gonna get on camera though, but he look good.
You don't look that good, honey. You don't look that good.
I will say it's a little nappy right now. But I will look at this weekend.
This is Snapple top back.
The pick ain't going all the way through. Let's put it that way. But I really want my people to sit here and know that they can be black, not only in the scene when they're on the mic, anything. That they can be black. This is part of the reason why I commentate the way I do. I put in black lyrics. I put in things from MF3. I take a lot of that the bars that I put on are for a reason because I want to express myself that way. And there will be times where, exactly, it's the flavor. And you know what? I know there's other black commentators out there. Dan's one of my favorite goddamn commentators. No cap, it don't matter who hears this, but Dan's definitely one of my favorite commentators. He's an absolute god. But people will take stuff from me and Dan and other black commentators. It happens in the scene. I've heard some of my lines being used, and I'm like, do you even know what that means, where that's from? And this is a different discussion. We're going to have another hour for this one. But I'll tell you one thing. The FGC loves to take from black culture, but don't love to give back when it's the time.
Oh, preach, brother. Talk about it. Talk about it. Yeah, he went there.
Yep.
You went there.
I'll talk about that one later.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Went there. All the time, bro.
It is a thing. It is a thing.
Your time, baby.
I'm telling you. Real talk.
Preach. We listening.
Oh my goodness.
All I want to say is, the fact of the matter is, when people will take from our people, they'll take from our culture and things like that. They don't want to dive into their own and all that stuff like that. They want to take because it's easier for them. But as black people, we should continue to shine our way because no one's going to have the cadence, the kind of flavor that we do. We bring our own. And I want to keep that going. So this weekend, I'm going to keep that shit going. And I'm going to keep that same heat every time I'm on the mic. I'm in person, on the stage. It don't matter where it's at, all right? As a black person, anybody that is in our scene that is black, I want y'all to keep that same energy. Keep your blackness. Don't let anyone tell you should be this and that. And I'll be honest with you. I'll keep it a buck too. Capcom has never told me to hold myself back. I've said some things on the mic. I've said some different things on the mic during CPT. They've never told me to hold back. To be honest, I'll give them credit. Because if you watch the trailers, whose ass is in there? Quite a bit. It's me. They put my ass front and center. So Capcom, I see you. And all the people that are working like that, I see you.
Talk that
shit.
And
I'm going to continue to be black. It don't matter if they take me off or take me on, whatever. I'm going to continue to be black. I'm going to continue to be my authentic self. And it took me a while to be like that, to say it's okay like that. But I was like, this is me. I'm going to continue to be me. Now, on the flip side, the people who aren't black need to start supporting black creators, players, and everybody else out there. Right now, I'm looking at this view count right here. And after all the people that retweeted and said they were coming through, where are you? And I better. Right? You know what's gonna happen? Y'all out here watching the same tournaments that you watch every single week. And that's cool. Maybe you got other obligations. That's cool. You know what? You got other obligations. But guess what? When some shit happens like Cynthia Bunny, when y'all wait about 6-7 months to deal with her, when she pulled the in card for that long, like she part of the group, like Rachel Dozer, I will reference this time where we had this discussion where y'all could have sat down, popped the questions in the goddamn chat, talked to us.
Honey, I'm done.
We've been here. The table's been open, right? The chairs have been open. All you gotta do is take a seat, but you gotta be willing to listen and be willing to eat. That's all I'm trying to say. And that's my time.
My man,
Man, my brother.
Honey, you did it. When he said that, and he said what he said.
My man went 0 to
a little bit louder, please.
Yeah, that man went 0 to 11 million like real quick. Woo, he was up there.
Y'all won't come in to actually have this conversation. That's crazy.
He was up there.
Man,
see, there you
It
go,
was on his
Cola.
spirit. You feel me? It was on his spirit.
You better bring that same energy when you commentate, bro. I mean, and you could be on 10, but whatever the hell that was, you better bring that.
Yeah.
You better bring that.
I'm never lacking a slack.
No. I know he does, but what this was, I need that the next time. You take this energy straight over there. Goddamn, man, this is what I'm talking about. And when you say keep being black, this is it. What you just did is this is it. This is what we're capable of doing. This is what we bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? And I love this shit, man. Oh man, that was like
Pastor
the cousin
Cola right there. That's what it was.
That was the cousin who waited all year for the cookout to let everything off his chest. You know what I'm saying? He waited for everybody to get in the same place, and he was just like, "Oh, y'all can't hide now. Y'all gonna get this. Everybody's getting this work today." Oh my God, you feel good? Because I feel good.
I feel great.
He said, "I've been feeling good." Good Lord.
Ooh-wee. Deep breath.
I take back what I said about you dropping frames, friend.
Ooh, so no, she don't even fall for that. Don't even.
No, that's all smooth right here. This is that new gen.
Turn on the camera. Let me see how smooth that pick go through. Let me see
how
smooth
it ain't. Hold up now. Next you want to talk about my ashy elbows.
Curls or what's up?
Look, you can't bring it back
in the front, but not the back.
Let me see the hairline. Let me see the hairline real quick. How clean it is.
Hairline is always good.
That trailer on your afro. I need to see that.
You can't bring it back to base form like that. That's cold, bro. He was up there.
I see you commenting and liking on Instagram, but I ain't seen any pictures for a week now, friend. What's good?
Oh, you gonna see it this weekend? It's gonna be full fro. I don't give a hell. They don't care. They in fact they told me, they said, "Yo, you do what you want to do. Wear what you want to." I'm coming floral with it too. Y'all gonna see some 70s. Just wait. Y'all gonna see it. You're gonna see
brother,
it.
you talk your shit. You talk that shit. Yeah. I'm living. I am living right now. I know the camera's not on me, but I'm glad the camera's on me actually, because I'd be a little bit too ethnic sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
There's no such thing as being too ethnic.
No, there's not. You're right.
You can't be too ethnic. If they don't get it, they don't get it. But that ain't your problem. So
right, you're right, brother. Thank you for correcting me. Thank you very much, because I needed that.
That's what I'm here for. My title is moderator.
I'm gonna let you moderate.
All right, Mr. Dynamite.
Yo, first, as always, shout outs to Cola. That guy is he always supports me. I love him like a brother, and that's real. But more on that later. There's actually a point to that, but much love to you, brother. The question at hand, I'm just gonna let it fly. I actually don't like the term diversity and inclusion.
Here's a good one. It's a good start.
It has no teeth. It's been worn down, and I actually, in my own organization where I work in the real world, started an initiative, and it ties into directly of how do we make the FGC better? How do we make Black spaces better in general? But how do we make the FGC better? We need different terms. Every time you say diversity and inclusion, I want you to think to yourself, what we really need is equality and empowerment. Those are the two things that we need to be focusing on. because diversity and inclusion, that's nice. It's nice to be included. It's nice to diversify. But everyone here has talked about it and hinted at it. What we need is equality and empowerment. Equality and empowerment generates the momentum that we're talking about to change things. Being included, I can be included in something. I can be the last person picked on the team for sports. I'm included. Do I have power though? No, I do not.
It's just
And so to really take a look at this, we got to look at the FGC in all different levels. And I don't have the time to do this because I only have 7 minutes. But I'll start at the top. One of the reasons that I was popping off so hard for the new Guilty Gear game is because I saw a lot of black and brown. I saw a lot of meaningful black and brown. Developers, including people that look like us, changes the face of how we do things. That is why it is important to have meaningful representation. What do I mean? Is it important for this character to be black and brown just to be black and brown? No. Is it important for them to be black and brown and look cool and attract people to them? Yes. Because then it shows people a different look at what being black and brown is. And especially when it comes to black characters, because that's my realm. If you have a black character in your game as a developer, you need to ask yourself, do they feel like an actual black person? And if you can't answer that, find yourself someone who can for you. That ties into my next point. Hire more black people. Period. Full stop. Because that means that those questions are going to be answered for you. That is from a developer standpoint. Just do it. Don't question it. Because if you actually want to improve your game and the reception to your game, you will start doing that. That's all I have to say about that matter. Moving on. Esports and event organizers, people with power. Who are you hiring? We've touched on that as well. Who are you hiring? And what do I mean by that? Are you hiring people who look like the people who show up to your stuff? If you are not, then don't do it. Don't pretend like you are. And so how do I do that? You invest in the grassroots because that's where we are. That is where the majority of us are. Sharpie said it best. Some people, a lot of people try to climb. Not everybody makes it. Not everybody even makes it to the middle. So if you want to see more people actually empowered and have actual equality, you're going to reach down to the grassroots and say, hey, let me pull you up. That's one of the reasons why I like Cola so much. Why I love that man is because no matter how high Cola goes, I know he's always going to reach down and be like, yo, bro, I got you. Come on up here. That is why I rock with Cola so damn hard. More on that a little bit later. Esports event organizers and people with power. You ask, what can we do to make the community better for Black people? And this is something that I criticize in American society. And this is something I tell to people who are not African American. But it applies to African American people who are perceived as male. Make the space better for people who are not perceived as males. If you can do that, it will teach you how to criticize an environment where you feel comfortable and raise up people who are not like you. Full stop. If you can do that, if you can understand why it is important to improve the life of someone who does not have the same experience as me, then you will improve the environment for yourself. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. On a personal level, as a player, as an attendee, the same thing goes. If I'm at an event and I see someone or overhear someone who is not perceived as a male being treated poorly, it is my responsibility as a member of the community to rectify that in any responsible way possible. I can report it to someone. I can step in. There are many different ways to do it. But that is my responsibility as an individual in the community. It doesn't matter whether or not I can relate to them. This is important because if that person were Black and a male, I would jump in fiercely without hesitation. And so this goes to all the people who are Black, can be perceived as male. Your job is to improve the lives of those who are not either or, period. That automatically improves your environment because then we have people in places making decisions because they feel comfortable. Why aren't there a lot of people who are perceived as male at these events? It's not because they don't play the game. They play the game. They don't show up because that environment is not comfortable and safe for them.
Yup.
Very true.
If you say, hey, I want to make this place better for Black people, make it better for people who are not comfortable in Black. That is where you put your power and your focus. And lastly, who are we supporting and why? Like Cola said, we'll jump in and do the feeding frenzy on people who drop N-bombs. We'll jump all over them. We'll tear them apart. But are we supporting Sharpie? Are we supporting Aziza? Are we supporting Chris Chaos and Sonic Soul? Are we supporting Cola? Are we supporting Reiki? Yes, it feels good to be on the side of justice. Yes, let's get in there and do it. Put that same energy into lifting people up. Put that same effort into lifting people up. Because you might look at Sharpie and say, hey, she made it. She's good. You doing that is putting a roadblock in front of your path. Going back to why I rock with Cola so hard. I've had people ask me, you and Cola started on Run and Rumble at the same time. He's getting all the play. How do you feel about that? I say, I'm going to put my hands behind Cola's back and push him as far as I can up that mountain, because at the end of the day, where Cola stops, I'm right there with him. His path is not my path. Why did I start Low Kick Esports or help start it? There was no place for me on the mic, period. So I said, you know what? I will put money into this. I will put time into this. I will put sweat, blood, and tears into this until my place on the mic is created by myself. And you know what other people saw? They saw somebody dig in and said, you know what? I'm backing you because you are putting your effort into this. And because of that, because I knew that my path was going to be different than other people's path from the beginning, I don't worry about comparisons. I only worry about comparing myself to the person that went to sleep the night before. That's it. Comparison is the theft of all joy. Your path is not other people's path. That is why it's important to improve those spaces, to make meaningful representation, to include people who do not share your experience, Black or not. Equality and empowerment. Think that the next time you think diversity and inclusion. That's all I have to say.
Woo.
Definitely.
Woo!
That was
Man.
wild.
Yeah.
Damn, my brother.
Yeah, I
Damn.
don't even have anything to say after that. He said it. He
I mean-
literally said it all. I mean, you had me, brother. Damn.
It makes me
Oh.
think, right? It makes me think because I'm sure you guys know, in American society with the law and everything, there's always there's a precedent of separate but equal that was struck down, right? But when I heard Dynamite talk, it was another prevailing problem. Now we're included, but we're not exactly equal, right? It's included, but there's inequity. So that has to be solved to where both are given, the same value, where we're included and we're treated equal. So that's the type of thing that really went into my mind when I heard Dynamite, was that from a social level, and from a legal level, that's the problem that I think we're facing in general as a whole right now. So, I definitely agree with you, Dynamite, for sure.
It's all about being on the same level. That's really what it's all about. And I hate to see people downtrodden because they spend their times comparing themselves to other people. you know?
Mm.
And it's not even about ignoring what other people do. It's about showing that love for people who have made it and not expecting them to give it back, but understanding that sharing that love opens yourself up for other people to share it with you. That's what it's all about for me.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Very
Because
well.
the thing is,
Very
that's basically what I was trying to say. Like, your path does not be defined by you speaking up, but speaking up for others who have gone before you to grow their path so that you can eat at the table too. Because
Exactly. Yeah.
because the thing is that like without them, because the thing is that, as I said before, investors are lazy. They're not going to see people for who they are, but you have to amplify the people that are doing the right thing
Yep. That's it.
so that
Agreed.
you can eat at the table too. Because if you're doing the same, you're doing something, positive and stuff like that. Like, the only way is by increasing the pool of spectators, increasing the pool of people in your community. That's how you get things.
Yeah, that's it. The idea of cola at CPT opens up the opportunity for anyone else on the mic at that level. The idea of him. And so why would I not invest into that as myself?
Yeah.
Why would I not say, yo, Saint, I'm gonna push you as hard until my legs blow off? Why?
Right.
Because the idea of him is my investment. It is my return already. It's just like you said, Ziza. It's these investors, they're not gonna do research. We have to plant that idea into their mind to say, this is what you want. And then they will be hungry for it. They'll try to find it everywhere they can get it. And then from there, we get to the top because they're looking for more of it, and we put people in places that get that power.
Right. And it's like you said, it's like y'all keep touching on, everybody's path isn't the same. Like if Cola's got the box, and okay, let Cola have the box. It's good for that. Because Cola's he seems like a very unselfish person. So for him getting up there, it's not like he's getting up there to leave everybody behind. He's doing it because he's trying to make the way for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And while he's doing that, we support that, and we figure out ways to go get it other ways. Like you said, you figured out a way to go do it on your own. And that's the stuff that people pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? It's not everybody just riling behind one person and being like, okay, this is the guy, this is the guy, this is the guy. No, it's like, he's the guy, but I'm also doing stuff over here. And the guy who is the guy is just like, yeah, I'm up here, my boys down here are here too. That's how you create all those paths. That's how you keep them open. It doesn't matter if one person is making it. You always support anybody who's getting on. You know what I'm saying? That's just how that's supposed to work. So the fact that you guys do that is great. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that, Cola's gotten to where he's got to, and he's still, putting on for everybody else. That's also good. That's also good. Now,
hold on. I just want to interrupt for 1 second. I just want to interrupt for 1 second. Let's not discount what Dan's done. Being a top 8 level commentator at Arc Revo is nothing to sneeze at all. In fact, my man's talking about how I made it. He's made it too, and he's about to make it even further when Strive hits. You gotta look at what you've done, Dan. Like I can't. I'm sorry, I can't let a conversation go. I can't let a conversation go.
Look at him right now.
Arc Revo multiple times. You're the one comment. You're probably the one that when people every time someone hears him on the mic, everyone goes crazy. They're like, "This dude is the slickest dude I've ever heard on the damn mic," and he knows it.
Facts.
We did Arc Frosty Fostings. Dog, you the fact that you say that you're not on the come up is wild to me because you are definitely on the come up and you hit those top spots. And I guarantee when Stripe hits, it's gonna be you on the map. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry, I said about it for a second.
I appreciate that.
You'll ever see anything a little bit more wholesome than that, though?
It's that meme where they talk about how black folks be like, "Hey man, I see you over there." It's like, "No man, I'm trying to get like you."
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna. I mean, I gotta admit, like, I'm actually very proud of like both of these guys. I've been in Chicago, like, just watching these guys grow and just just taking it a step further, and they've always been on the grind, asking questions. They Dan's come to me multiple times. Me and Senkola has talked multiple times. I work from behind the scenes. Like these guys are like up front at face value,
I can't hear whoever's talking.
Oh shoot. Well, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I can
Okay.
hear you.
I can hear. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, the thing is that I do want to say, Dan, don't sell yourself short, man. You've been out here doing a lot of work. Cola, keep it up, man. Like, seriously, like someone who's been around here for a while and just and started where I'm from to get to where I was to where I am right now. Like, it's inspirational, man. You're going beyond, above and beyond. Keep at it, man. The more I see, us, you know, visually in those spots, it gives other people the idea and the opportunity, the feel that they can get that opportunity as well. You guys have been doing a lot of work. You guys have been asking the right questions. You guys have been put through things through trial and error, and it's always good to see that, especially from my hometown folks. I got much love for y'all. Y'all, so keep it up. And I don't think I've said that on a public platform, and I've always been quiet about it, but I am very proud of what y'all have been doing, and I just am hoping for the best. And y'all, I'm just saying, keep it up, man. Seriously. Yep. That's all I want to say.
Really
on that
good
one.
point from everybody here. Basically, I feel like co-signing on the fact that everyone should be moving horizontally instead of vertically. You know what I mean? Like I feel like very, very often, especially in terms of social media and networking, when people get caught in numbers, the thought, like Aziza said earlier, is to go to the person with the highest numbers, right? When you should be looking for people that are moving on up with you with that same hunger, with that same passion, trying to break barriers instead of someone that's already established sometimes. I think that's forgotten a lot. And I think that everyone in this panel can probably attest to that. We're kind of testaments, because when you really look at everyone in this panel, you don't see Sonic Fox. You know what I mean? You don't see like Justin Wong. You don't see all these really, really, really big, huge, super large number people in this chat, because those people aren't always the people that are working on the moves. You know what I mean? Those aren't always the people that are trying to do it. And I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just, the point here being that in order to grow, you don't always need to rely on that huge, ridiculous force. You can do it just by making a way for other people and then climbing on it the same way St. Cola, the same way Dynamite did. That's just beautiful, honestly. Real talk. I'm having too much fun in this panel right now. Y'all are actually gonna make me cry. High key.
The support is real, man.
This is the post-event hotel room conversation.
Yeah.
That we used to have when we had events, and it's being filmed right now, and that's kind of crazy. But that's what I love that. I'm sorry.
All it takes is the right people in the right space, and the right thing to spark the right conversation, and here you go. Just happens that we're recording this one, so
one promo comes with them fighting herds. Play TFH.SharpiePLS.
Here she go again, man. I swear, just with the.
That's all it takes. You too could be FGC.
Okay, I've just been told that we got to take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
You guys, everybody good
Hold
with
on
that?
1 second. I needed to talk about the Queen of the Hill series. We're
go
going
right
to
on
coming
ahead.
back. We're going to be coming back
ahead.
in March. We're going to so look out for us on at the QOTH. So definitely look out for that.
All righty. Anybody else got anything?
We'll be right back after these scheduled messages. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to retweet the message, because we only got 40 people in chat, and y'all, we spending some real knowledge. There is no reason why Reiki should not be getting some love right near.
True.
Hit the follow button. If you got Twitch Prime, go ahead and do it. If you don't have Twitch Prime, share this inside of that Discord. Share this on Twitter. Share this on TikTok. Share this on Instagram right now. Y'all, we're trying to support FGC. Y'all should be doing it too. We'll be back.
All right.
Cool.
Hold 1 second.
Yo, Rank, you killing me,
Oh
bro.
my goodness.
Rank, you foul for that. You
Wow, you
so
foul as
foul for
hell.
that.
I'm so glad I
Oh
didn't
my
follow suit because
God.
I would
You
have
never
come
should
to
have
your
given me a
house.
platform.
Don't let
You
Reiki
never
fool
should have
I
you.
would
given me
have
a
came to
platform.
your house.
Don't let Reiki fool you like he ain't got no dark side, boy. That boy is cold. He cold.
Wow.
Wait, was that on
I would have
stream?
came
No,
to
no,
your
no, no. You good? You good?
Yeah.
You good?
Part of it is on
You
stream.
good?
Oh,
You good
snap.
though.
Woo wee. Oh.
That would have been
You
Wow, you cold. Cold as
The
ice.
way,
Oh
I
my
whipped that thing off, though.
There
I
is
know.
Oh
an
my
there
god.
is an
Nicola
ice
be
box
playing a little bit too much
where
on these
his heart
breaks, y'all.
used to be.
Mhm.
Oh my God,
Gotta
Reiki,
fight.
you made my day with that one. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh man, so this has been a very high octane, very charged conversation that we've been having over this. How long we been going now, guys? 2, 3 hours?
Almost 3 hours.
Exactly 2
3.
hours, 14 minutes, and 39 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you, timekeeper.
Welcome.
I right now we're at a point where we're gonna bring the energy down just a little bit. We're gonna try and touch on a little bit on some lighter notes. So I guess the lead in with this is above everything else, even with all the problems in the FGC, we're all part of this for a reason. It means something to all of us on a deeper level than just sitting down and playing these games. Whatever aspect or part of it you're a part of, this is something very near and dear to every person in here's heart. And the next question that we're going to get to is really going to touch on that. At the end of the day, we all do this because we love it. We're a part of it because we love it. This is something that really means something to us. It's something that we would pass down to our kids if we had them. This is something we teach to other people. It's something we get happy about when we see more people come in, and something we get upset about when not everybody, but certain people leave, under certain circumstances. It's something that I didn't think that I would keep doing up until my 30s. But I can tell you right now that I'm 33 years old, and I couldn't tell you when I would stop. I've had a lot of times where I thought I had enough, and I just think I'm growing out of it, and there's nothing in it left for me. But then I don't know. It's just it's once it gets its hooks in, it kind of just never goes away. So the next question, and everybody's gonna get a chance to answer, and I'd like to answer this too. I'm gonna let you guys all go first, and then I'll go at the end. But the next question is, what was your most memorable moment in the FGC, or the moment that you felt like you were part of the community? And I know for everybody that's going to be a very, very different answer. I know mine's pretty near and dear to my heart, but I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say. Despite everything that we've said, this is really going to like put more of an eye on what we're here for. Despite everything going wrong and everything that can be changed and everything we don't like, what is it that we like? What is the thing that made you feel like this is where I need to be, and this is what I want to continue to be a part of from now until whenever the wheels fall off? So we'll start back from the top, which would mean Dynamite. You're up first, sir.
Cool. So this is actually a really fun question. I saw this question actually before I knew Chris Chaos was on the panel. Sorry, Chris, but I got to tell the story.
Go for it.
So I had been, for life reasons and other things like that, I hadn't gone to events till 2017 when Dragon Ball Fighters came out. I was like, cool, let me go to these events, let me see what's going on. I got the full FGC experience that day from like end to end. My first warm-up match before the tournament, this guy comes in, he's playing the game, X, Y, and Z. He's like, yo, you want to, I was in training mode. He's like, yo, you want to run some sets? I'm like, cool, let's do it. Comes in, sets up the stream of Michigan Masters on the side as we're playing, right? We get into our first exchange, bodying me. I mean, he is destroying me while watching the stream of Michigan Masters. And I'm like, yo, I'm getting tore by vanilla Vegeta assist into the cell. I'm like, yo, this is rough. I played through it. We played through. He was like, and he actually had an exchange. I did something right, gave me the FGC nod, and was like, yo, that was actually pretty good. I was like, damn, that's tight. I know I'm working at it, but I'm not on the level. But he actually, pointed out and acknowledged when I did something clean. Cool. Tournament starts. I immediately go 0-2, smoked. Everybody's serious about this game. The tournament organizer, who's now my partner, Ryan, comes on and says, yo, does anybody want to get on the mic? I'm like, I think I'll hop on and see what I've always wanted to try it out. I've never done it before. I get on the mic. Twitch chat is open. First thing I see, yo, this dude looks like Kirby's dad. I was like, damn, I'm getting heated already. On the mic, I didn't even open my mouth yet. Immediate. Twitch,
the smoke
ruthless.
that smash.
Stay
Damn.
undefeated. Blast me back. I'm like, you know what? I grew up in the hood. Cool, whatever. I'm gonna keep it rolling, right? Do my thing on the mic. Chris comes and sits down next to me, and we start commentating back and forth. I hope this VOD is smoked because I don't want to go back and listen to it ever again. But at the end of it, he, turned to me and was like, yo, you actually know your shit, man. That's real. That's good stuff. That little bit of encouragement, I never told you this, Chris, but that little bit of encouragement is why I came back the next weekend to hop on the mic. That small sentence you told me, yo, you know your shit, man. That's good stuff. That is why I came back onto the mic. And that is the moment where I was like, yeah, I'm down for this. I want to do what I can to make this scene grow, to make this organization grow, to make this team grow. Because this gave me, it breathed life back into me. Nobody knew what I had going on in the background in my life situation, but it was rough. And that little comment and that whole end-to-end experience, I was like, this is somewhere I can stick my feet in and I can grow. I can put roots here. And that's when I knew. I was like, this is it. This is where I want to be.
Well said, sir. St. Cola, your turn.
Oops, there we go. I had to unmute myself. Sorry.
Good.
I don't really have like a direct moment. I really feel like, I guess one of my favorite moments of the FGC or being in the FGC was like getting involved in commentary like continuously, because I've been learning more about the scenes, more about the people in the scenes, making a lot more friends, and kind of finding out what I love. And more importantly, during this pandemic, I've been able to like converse and be with my friends. Obviously, it's not the same, but to be able to sit around and shit around the Twitch chat and just talk smack or hang out or whatever, has been keeping me like afloat. And when I've been doing CPT, I don't know if many people even know this, but like sometimes, like I'll look at the Twitch chat. Like sometimes, like I'm never affected by anybody hating or saying some stupid shit. I don't care about that. That's whatever. In fact, that fuels me. I kind of like that. But I do see a lot of people kind of rooting for me, cheering me on, and saying, hey man, you're doing great, or all that stuff. We're interacting and stuff like that. And then afterwards, people coming up to me and like, we talk about the commentary or whatever. Like that has like commentary shown me my place in the FGC. And if I could give people like some humor or a smile, especially in these times, like that's all I really want, So I feel like that is my moment. Like that's like my moment is like continuously when I'm on commentary, when I'm able to like, converse with people, talk about what I love, and give back to the community in this kind of way, and hopefully keep people's spirits up. That's mine.
All right then. Sharpie, how about you?
I have two. The first one was actually when I went to my very first Xanadu local. It was actually my very first time meeting some people that I've been posting with on the Skullgirls forums. And it was really amazing because I was terrified. I'd only been on stream. It was a very one-sided conversation. We didn't have like, what's it called, Ray call or team chat, or I don't know, team server, whatever server. So like I'd never spoken to anyone face to face. I'd only seen them in threads. And it was it was kind of crazy to me because it was like the very first time where I actually had gotten to actually see some of my friends, and we went out to a burger place afterwards. We didn't get served because there was a really big, wedding with a bunch of like really drunk white women really enjoying themselves, and the restaurant was full. But I remembered it because I think I just remembered it because we ended up going to like something ridiculous. I think we went to like McDonald's or something like that, some broke old McDonald's down in Baltimore, and it was some of the worst food I'd ever had in my entire life. But I would do it again, literally at this exact moment, if I could just go hang out with my friends and see them again and just talk about a bunch of games that I've never played, like Third Strike, and just listen to Danny talk to me about how Makoto is so good inside of this game, even though I've literally never played her inside my life. I
He
would
ain't
give
lying
any.
though.
He's not. He ain't.
He ain't
He ain't.
lying.
And I'll be damned if a single person inside of this Twitch chat right here try to tell me different. I ain't never played the game, but I know she the waifu.
Yeah,
Um, I would give anything to return to that moment. Literally right now, at every point that I've ever played fighting games, that moment really solidified itself to me. And the second moment was I had been running events at Xanadu for about 3-4 years. Um, and it was my birthday, and unbeknownst to me, a bunch of people outside of the event had actually got together and made a little card. Someone commissioned some art just to say thank you for running my event. And it was a really emotional time, and I'm starting to tear up again, and there was a lot of love given to me in offline events at certain times in my career. And those moments, people telling me that like the event that I ran was the reason why they're still coming to events. It's the reason they're still playing the game. It's how they found their friend. It's how they found their partner. That's kind of what does it for me.
Hmm.
That right there. That and people playing them fighting herds, which is still on sale in Humble Bundle.
I'm like, how did she do
Yeah.
this?
Games.com.
Yo,
It's a good
You
game.
just didn't see it coming.
Sharpie
Man.
got the scope from any range,
Jeez.
dog.
Yeah,
Like,
every single
nice-
one.
It's a defense mechanism.
nice.
That's a super duper
Finesse.
scope,
Her
bro.
mind is too
It
fast
should hit
for
you from
eyes, bro.
anywhere.
Yes, basically. Jeez.
Shout outs to Xanadu Games though. Half of my family's from Baltimore. I had my cousin, the one who actually got me into games, used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
So definitely shout out to Xanadu.
We're in
Um,
Laurel Park now, but y'all can still check us out. Twitter.com/Xanadu_games, Twitter.com/Xanadu Games FGC, and we're also on Facebook as well. We'll be back as soon as the quarantine is over, but thank you so much for waiting for us.
Yeah, I owe that place a visit. Shoot, man, there's some folks I need to see out there. Yep.
Y'all here tugging on my heartstrings right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm choked up. I'm about to be over here tearing up like Sharpie is. Who's up next? Sonic Soul, your turn, sir.
Yeah. So I guess there's a lot of things that I still remember being in the FGC. I remember going to Chinatown Fair. I remember going to NLBC and seeing Sen and everybody there for the first time. And those moments really mean a lot to me because I was young back then. And it was my first exposure to the scene. But I would say my most memorable moment, like the one that I remember near and dear to me, would actually be recent. It was 2019 with Samurai Showdown, and I was in a hotel room at the time with my friend, Ghost, and I got a call. I believe it was NEC. I got a call from Jeff, right? And I would always have issues with him, with in terms of like how we approach things and our ideals regarding like promotion and whatnot, and mostly just like it was mainly just representing yourself and being presentable and stuff. And I won't lie, I still have some issues with that now. I'm not really like super professional as I should be. But I still remember that call because he literally was like he saw from at least my point of view how things were in terms of like higher ups and how they most more or less like treat you. And I really had like a moment with him about it because when he called me, he was telling me, look, do you want to at least work together with Ronin Rumble? Because he was like, he saw, at least from my perspective, like, or how I was feeling in terms of like the way Sam Show was going, the way it was starting to decline a little bit in terms of how people are seeing it, and how no one was really doing anything to like solve it. And then of course there were the issues with the esports thing at the time with SNK and with Diddy Mokoff and Lord Jimmy Bones, and it opened his eyes a little bit. It opened my eyes too. It opened everybody's eyes there, and uh, I offered to help with Grand Blue later on for Ronin Rumble, and I say that phone call to me really meant a lot because I got to learn a side of him that I didn't know about before, and I was really happy to be able to, just talk it out and ultimately get a good friend that I never even saw in person, right? Like most of the people that I know in the community, I see them in person, I say what's up, and I know them, right? I talk with them, I sit down, I break bread with them. Some of them I do know personally, but it was the first time I really like got to know somebody and I didn't even like see their face like that. Like I didn't even like talk to them in person, and they got me to really like be motivated to do the things that I did throughout all of 2020. So I don't know if Jeff is watching this or not, but like I really do appreciate him for allowing me to do what I needed to do, and for also just allowing me to be his friend. And that's what I needed. That's what I think what a lot of people need within the community, because usually they just feel alone.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, I'm happy that he allowed me to be with Ronin Rumble and do what I had to do with that, and I was able to do levitation for the time that I did it, and it was really good. I was able to see so many people that now like are in those online tournaments for top 8. I remember Mix Up. Like he's really good now. And I remember in the beginning he was learning, and I was like, yo, I was having those tournaments. I was seeing them grow. I was seeing a lot of those players grow through that, and I don't think I would have ever gotten that opportunity to feel as important within the community had it not been for that one phone call back in 2019 to allow me to give me, the chance to be able to experience that. So yeah, that's probably my most memorable moment, is just getting that phone call, because it really motivated me to do what I wanted to do for that long, all throughout 2020. It gave me purpose throughout the pandemic. I will say that. So
Well said, my friend. Well
Mhm.
said.
Yeah, I
Cap.
got love
Oh, go
for
ahead.
real quick,
That's
just
real.
jumping in.
Go for it, man.
A reason I rock with Ronin Rumble is because Jeff was the first person to put me on the top 8 that wasn't generated by my work with Low Kick. The first person, I'll never forget that. That moved me places. I'll never forget that. I always rock with Jeff because
yeah,
of that.
man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
All right, Cap on. Your turn.
All right. I got a couple. I guess the first thing is my background. I'm from East Oakland, California,
Hey, you
and
NorCal? What up, though?
yeah, yeah.
Hey.
But yeah,
707.
growing. Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, small world. But yeah, I'm from Oakland. There are no arcades in Oakland. There never were arcades in Oakland. There are no malls in Oakland. There are no places to play fighting games besides 7-Eleven and pizza places growing up. So back in the 90s and early 2000s, like I only played fighting games pretty much at home, unless we went to the mall in a different city like Hayward or Berkeley. So before coming down to SoCal for college and stuff, I wasn't FGC. I was just a person who loved fighting games. I didn't know that Sunnyvale Golfland was across the bay. And if you're from here, you kind of know that's a whole other world where rich people live and black
Yep.
kids from Oakland don't go to.
Mm-hmm.
When I came down to SoCal, I finally had access to a car, could go to arcades. I became a regular at Arcade Infinity, but I was just a guy who went there all the time, wasn't part of the scene, wasn't a competitor. But after going there, like a bunch of different weekends, playing all the time, not talking to nobody, I came on a date or having a tournament. And one of the people running the tournament just tapped me, said, "Hey man, I see you here all the time. Why aren't you competing? Why don't you play?" And I didn't know they had tournaments in the arcade like that for people who are just regulars. I didn't know I thought you had to be someone like super duper good. I'm just a guy who shows up. I'm not good at these games, but that that puts a spark in me to actually get good at this shit, to actually compete. because someone noticed who I was and decided, hey man, you seem pretty good, you seem all right, you should play. And I thank for the choice sauce for inviting me to play, because I probably wouldn't be a competitor the way I am right now. Um, the next moment is later in FGC when uh, I don't want to say it's 2013 or 2014. Um, it's when they had WN Wednesday Night Fights versus NLBC Street Fighter 4 tournament at Evo. Um, classic East Coast West Coast battle, and West Coast wins. And
Excuse me, I resent that.
the West Coast won.
The West Coast wins in general, but okay.
Not if we're talking Marvel too.
Well, this is Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, okay.
The West Coast team won. And when they're doing a celebration, getting ready to take pictures on stage, they invite me up. I'm not a top player. I'm not good at these games for the most part. I'll beat your average person. I'll be a gatekeeper, but I'm not getting top 8 in any tournament for the most part. But because I ran in tournaments and people appreciated the work I did in running Wednesday night fights week in and week out, they brought me up on that stage, made me a part of their celebration, made me a part of that moment. And that's a time where I really felt like I belonged, like my work wasn't for nothing, that I wasn't busting my ass running these tournaments until 2 a.m. for no good reason. But people were having great experiences, and they wanted to share the experiences that came from that with me. And that felt really good.
All right. Chris, your
Yo.
turn.
All right, 2-part question, because there's being accepted by other organizers and then being accepted by the community. So I was definitely accepted by the organizers first, and it didn't really with me constantly going things, doing things here and there, trying to get in as involved as I would like to. It was it was hard. I get a little bit of time here or there, anything like that, but no one was really trying to have me on for another time or anything like that. I want to go ahead and give shout outs to 2 people, Keats and Elvin Shadow, Mike. They're the ones who actually reached out to me to give me an opportunity to go ahead and put in my portfolio for everyone else to give me opportunities. Keats, mainly with Persona 4 Arena when that game came out, I want to say 2012, 2013, came to me, saw what I was doing out in Chicago, and gave me an opportunity to help run things. I watched the players, seed everything, and then, and also allow me to compete at the same time. So it was a lot to take in, but he trusted me to be able to do that. He talked to me before the events happened, and also allowed me to be involved with Plus R that year as well, and so I was very heavily focused in being involved with the anime scene. And he even threw me on the mic for Persona when I had no commentary experience, because no one else could do it. Somebody got sick and they were like, Chris Keith was like, Chris, the game, get on there. What? So me just being able to just jump on and my commentary is terrible. Don't look it up, please. Don't look it
up. now we're definitely gonna look it up.
I did commentary for for that year, and after that I ended up getting a lot of opportunities. I had I was talking with folks who were dealing with NEC, Evo, Final Round, all these other various events. When they heard I was coming, they were just like, hey, they actually messaged me, hey, we want to try to get you on the mic. Hey, we want to know if you want to run brackets with us. Hey, because of that, and then of course Elvin Shadow as well, working with him for Frosty, which is actually getting to the other reason. Because working with UFGT / Combo Breaker and now Frosty, I got opened up a lot of opportunities outside the Midwest region to be able to get into those spots. So that was when I realized, I was like, okay, people want me around, people want me involved, and that was very important to me. Now, there was a point in time in this community that I wasn't very liked by a lot of players, but that's also to my own fault because I have a big mouth. I'll admit to that. But the thing is that even though like I wasn't like no, I was like not breaking top 8, I was like in the top 16s or doing things here and there. I just wasn't on like the main stage. I still did what I could to try to support folks and from the background, run for my games. And I was still getting bashed on because everyone's like, he's just trying to do this, blah blah blah. He's trying to get in, yada yada yada. He ain't one of us, And I got a lot of that, but I just kept pushing. I didn't get accepted by the community until Frosty 6, where a collusion incident happened, and I went off way harder than I probably should have. And but because I was making a stand for the right decision, and like even in the heat of the moment, I made the right decision. I just wish I would have carried myself a little better. Um, After that, I thought I was gonna get slammed on. Like I'm not gonna be able to get any work with anybody. No, they just saw me like fuming and raging on commentary. They saw me like handling things like crazily, and I got a lot of support from just the community in general, saying like job well done, and like they didn't even like the fact of me just blowing up just didn't even matter to them, and like no more people were more accepted to talk to me and like and point to me and be like, hey, this is our guy, and it really hit home that a lot of folks really felt that way about me. It was one of those moments where I didn't think I thought I was done for, but like it was the complete opposite. And so I'm thankful for the community for speaking up for me and saying that I did the right thing and like wanting me to do more things for them. So because of them, I was able to do more things at other events. So it all ties in together. So I'm just thankful for all of that. And much love to everybody that was involved. Anyone came in for because of what they've seen or what I've done, or if I've treated them well, because I try to treat people as I want to be treated. So like if I've had any influence of folks that like some of these folks came to me, maybe they have it, the folks have it. Thank you. Seriously. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and opening up doors for me and give me that chance. So yeah.
All right. On to Aziza.
Hey, so I guess it's two for me. One is every time a team member trolls me, do I feel acceptance? Um, there's a lot of backstory for Dynamic Focus, and every single player that and you're like, I love him, he's such, or I love her, she's the funniest, and she's so nice, she's so kind. They troll the fucking hell out of me, like little brothers, the little sisters, just jabbing at me. They literally do. I'm not touching you thing, like literally, just having that comfort level of my players just doing that it speaks a lot, because like just the joy or the comfort from like these people are literally trying to monetize their hobby, and I'm helping them doing that and having a build of trust doing that. It speaks of volumes, like it keeps me going. Like sometimes I just feel like quitting. Sometimes I just feel like it's a lot of pressure, just too much, or anything like that. I just remember just being around them and knowing what their struggle is and trying to make sure that they can go beyond me at any point in time, you know? Oh, my mic? Is it?
Do you have your phone next to your mic?
Oh, I probably do.
That's
Hold on.
why. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sitting
Am I
here
better?
checking all my connections and stuff. I'm like, what is going on?
I
I
don't
thought that was
know.
me.
Okay, am I better?
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're
Okay,
Gucci now.
okay. So yeah, I'm Gucci now. So do I have to repeat everything or no?
Oh no, you're good.
Okay,
Continue.
okay. All right, continue. Okay.
Hmm?
So the other thing, I just blacked out. Because I had oh, just the second thing is basically my DMs and my emails they address me as a woman now than before, because before everyone assumed that I was just this guy that was running this team. So it's always like, "Hello, sir. Can I join your team?" Like, mm, um, first of all, this is not sir. Second of all, let me see your resume. But that's one thing. Like I put on, I just expressed it at one point in time, like because it was like the 2nd-year anniversary, where there's like it's really funny how everybody in assumes that since I own a team, I must be a dude or I must be male or I'm working underneath somebody. And finally, nowadays, like people start to know that I'm actually a woman running a team, and it means a lot, you know. It actually does. It because it doesn't feel insulting anymore, you know. So I'm very happy about that, and also I'm very happy every time someone shouts me out and stuff like that on their streams when I do the support. So I'm great when it comes to that.
All right. Did we get everybody?
Not you.
Yep.
Oh, okay. My turn. All right. This one's gonna be a little near and dear to my heart because I don't even think I've gotten to tell my folks this yet. But so I grew up a military brat, born in New Jersey, lived out of the country for a little bit, moved around the country for most of my life. So I've never really had a stable group of friends. I always had to leave them. It's something that you know growing up when you're military. Every 3 to 4 years, you're gonna be somewhere else. So when you start building these bonds with people, they almost don't feel real because you know eventually either you're gonna leave or they're gonna leave. And that was my life for most of it. Um, Add that in with my home situation was never that great growing up. So moving around the country and never having anything stable really just, it took a toll on me for a long time. I moved to NorCal in 2003 in my junior year of high school. And it couldn't have been, it felt like the worst thing in the world because before I was living in Virginia and I was there from 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'm starting to kind of get established. And, when you're in high school, you start to kind of come into yourself a little bit. And then to have to do that on one coast and move to a completely different coast and kind of reinvent yourself again in your junior year of high school was tough. And I was already the outcast black guy, you know what I'm saying? I didn't play sports, I played fighting games, I liked anime, I love house music, all this stuff that just even my own community didn't accept me, being interested in um was who I was. And I was just like, dang, so I got to move and figure out how to finish my last 2 years of high school in a whole nother coast. Okay. I guess I've been through this road before. I guess I can do this. And then when I got told that I was moving to Northern California, because I'd lived in LA for a year, I didn't know anything about NorCal. Like my mom's from Vallejo, but I didn't know anything about NorCal. And she tells me we're moving to a place called Fairfield. And I'm like, where is that even? Like, what is that? And then we got here. And I mean, Fairfield's just one of these weird suburban towns where like people still consider it the Bay, depending on who you talk to, but like it's not technically the Bay. But you get a lot of the Bay moving here. So even though you're not in the Bay, you get the Bay kind of experience from being here. But either way, I was just like, I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do in this place. I just felt out of place because now I'm moved to a place where people have grown up here. Their kids went to this school. I mean, their kids go to this school. Their parents went to the same school. You know what I'm saying? Like their parents know their parents, and that I'm not used to that because I'm a military kid. So I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Come to find out, we have an arcade. Not no, back it up. Come to find out, we have a mall. Then come to find out that we have an arcade. And come to find out that the main games in this arcade that we have in this small ass town that I've never heard of are fighting games. So now I'm just like, oh, okay, we might be doing something here. This might go somewhere. And if you ever went to the 707 tilt when it was popping, it was popping. Like everybody came here. Like there would be people coming from that part of NorCal that Capone was talking about, all the way out there. They come down here to play with us. Chunkster, when he was like the #2 Marvel player in the world, used to come down here and play with us. Crizzle, all those, like I know all those guys because they used to come here. And it was so weird that this small town turned into a place that helped me really, really, really dive into this fighting game scene the way that I have. So for me, I started in high school. Like I started playing at my arcade in high school. And I got to see a lot of these people that I still play with today grow up. Like we were kids when we started. Now some of us are older. They, you know, we're all older. Some of us got kids, families, careers, all this other stuff. But like I've been here for that long. And that hit me this one night. We have a player that decided that he wanted to move to SoCal to go to school. And he's one of my OGs. He's one of the people that taught me a lot about what I know. And at this time, it was like early 20s. So when somebody makes a big move like that, it's like, well, you're packing up and leaving, bro? Like, you know? And he's like, yeah, man, you know, I want to go to school and I want to do that. I want to do that. And people don't usually leave where we're from like that. So it was a big thing for us. So the guy who used to run all of the sessions, his name is Tyler. He goes by Tyram. Ram Nation is like what 707 is known for. And he used to run that out of his garage. The minute that he heard our mom was leaving, he put together this big old like going away party for him. Now this party, I started playing when I was like, started playing here when I was like 16. This happened when I was like 22, 23. So up until that time, like I said, I went from high school to young adult, and I got to watch a lot of these people that we play with grow up. And even in that time, there were people that you started playing with that kind of stopped playing and stopped coming around, and you don't see them anymore. But 707 has this family thing, man, where it's just like no matter where you've gone and no matter how long you've been away, once we see you, we see you. So I was working at the arcade at the night of the party. And the arcade used to be like the meetup spot. Everybody who worked at the mall used to come there. If you didn't have anything to do at home, you came there. Everybody was at the arcade. This particular night, I was working, and everybody showed up at the arcade before they went to Tyler's house for the party because they knew I couldn't go until I got off, and I got off later than everybody else. So they were coming through, and they're just like, "Yeah, are you going?" And blah blah blah. I'm like, "Yeah, of course." I mean, hell, 50 of y'all that came through here asked me if I'm going. Yeah, I think I'm going. You know what I'm saying? And it was something about the energy that day where I was just like, something's different. Like I've gone to Tyler's house 100 times, but tonight feels different. So I closed up the arcade, drove over there, couldn't find parking, which was already the first indication that this thing was crazy. And when I finally found parking, I walked in, and the garage part where we usually play at was packed full of people, but so was the side of the house. And then in the back of his house, he had 2 arcade machines set up. His grandpa was cooking. There were so many people. I mean, just the amount of people that was there that night is insane. There's a video of it up on YouTube. Actually, I got to find it. But the amount of people that was in this backyard was insane. And I'm sitting here looking around just like, wow, like in this small ass town where I thought there was nothing here, I'm part of this. And I'm part of it. Like I'm actually part of it. I'm not leaving. I'm not moving. I'm part of this. You know what I'm saying? Like this one thing that I've been chasing for so long, trying to find a place where I can actually fit in. I fit in here. And the fact that we as a community came together to see one of our people off, I never thought I'd ever see something like that in my life. And I'm talking about like between a garage and a backyard, there were like 50, 60 people at this man's house. Like it was insane. You know, he gave a speech. There was Hennessy getting passed around. It was just one of them nights, you know, all them OGs that you haven't seen in years came back out, and they all did this to see one of ours off the right way. We put in some money, put some money in his pocket just so we had something when he left. And it was that night, and I go back and watch this video every once in a while, but it was that night that told me I was part of something. Because for once, I didn't have to leave any of these people. I was part of this. And I'm still part of this to this day. I've been to Evo, I've commentated, I've done all kinds of stuff. None of that matters to me. The main thing that matters to me is the bond that my community has. And you can ask Jay, you can ask James. He's been here. He knows, man. Like 707 is a family, and it's one that I thought I would never have. So that night, seeing all of us come together like that, even if it was just for one person, just to make sure that he left and knew that we had his back, was everything. And that night is burned into my brain as the night where I knew I was finally part of the FGC. And it didn't even matter about the FGC as a whole, but my community at least. I know I'll always be part of that. I will always have that. And that to me was the night. I mean, was the time that I remember the most to this day.
We're so old.
Yeah.
Shoot, it's all good.
We all old. That's all I heard from all these stories. Is everyone here is old.
Very.
We've been
On
around.
TikTok, you boomers.
We've been around.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm okay with. I'm comfortable with myself. Like I'm good on that.
Hey, black don't crap. You know that. You know what it is. A little salt and pepper
We
in the beard
don't.
never. A little salt and pepper in the beard never hurt nobody. We good.
I'm gonna be 40 looking 19. It's gonna be godlike.
But you're gonna have an expensive wig on, so you good.
Okay, you know what?
Bruh.
You can be whatever age.
Stop coming for her. She was $24 on Amazon. Okay.
You can
She
be
ain't never
whatever
did me
age you want to,
wrong.
boo. You can be
Damn.
whatever age you want to, boo. Any age.
Man.
Christ.
It's a good round table. It's a good round table.
Mm-hmm.
It's been real.
Oh, I
Been
wanted to say really quickly because I know like I keep shilling, but like the reality is it's very important that we all follow twitch.tv/Raikou_Kaito. And we also go to twitter.com/Ronin Rumble. That's all one word, or www.roninrumble.com to join the Discord and check up on the events to find more events like this. That's so incredibly important, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
She said Raikou Kaito.
Yeah, no, I can't. Like y'all, you put me on the spot here. Like I tried. I try with that. Then nobody coached me or nothing. There are no notes here.
We needed to coach you. Have you heard your plugs? You don't need no
Excuse
coaching
me?
after them plugs.
Excuse me.
I thought you
I
had it.
have not commentated Evo. I need a lot of direction when I commentate. I don't know. Y'all are over here talking about Dynamite and St. Cola doing Capcom. I ain't never been on that type of main stage. Honey, you gotta coach me before the stream. Okay? Like I had these plugs prepared for exactly 10 seconds before I got them. They still came out like what? Butter, because I'm a professional, sweetheart. Yes.
James, you might have to change your Twitch name to Raikou Kaito, bro. That kind of rolls off the
Raikou Kaito.
that rolls off the tongue. Or you got to enter a tournament with that name.
Oh, man.
Somewhere.
Only if I lose a bet. Only if I lose a bet.
You want to bet
Right.
that I'm a win in Skullgirls?
Oh, that's a bet I don't
Okay.
want to take. No, I'm good.
Yeah, no, you'll be Raikou Kaito for life if you take that one, bro.
No, I'm good. I am good. All right, ladies
look
and
at the
gents.
chat.
Ronin Kenshin.
Look at the chat blowing it up already. See, it's gonna stick. Roku Kaito. Look what
Stop
look
it.
at that.
Wow.
Oh my
Why
god.
y'all do that to me? I tried to do something
Oh my
good.
god. This man gonna change his whole. It's over with. His name.
I
Give
know.
it a week. Give it
Okay,
a week,
ladies
his
and
name
gents,
gonna change.
I know that we're getting close to like 4 hours, and I really appreciate you all being here. You've done a fantastic job. I think the stream can hear me, right? You guys can hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can
All
hear
right,
you.
cool. All right, neat. So, ladies and gents, we're coming down to the end of it, but I wanted to say one thing that I thought was really important. This isn't the end all be all. Like, these voices are important. These black lives and these black voices matter, but this isn't the only voice here. There are many, many voices, and I just wanted to name a few that are really important to me. Hell Pockets, Christopher Hell Pockets Field, one of one really good friend, a mentor. I see as an older brother in spirit. I really appreciate him. Cookie, always been supportive. Person that's been behind me, at least when I left Southtown Arcade, and just being really supportive of all the KOF stuff that I've been doing. Ahmed, who's in Baltimore, and I met him once when he came all the way to San Francisco, and he played with me in KOF, and I have been friends with him ever since. We only met once, but I feel like he's a lifelong friend who puts a lot of effort into everything that he does. He's an amazing person. There are so many black voices out there: women, men, trans, lesbian, gay, bisexual, or queer in questioning. There's so many people out there. There are so many different voices. And what I challenge everyone to do today is to listen. Open your ears and listen. You have a whole bunch of people. Non-binary too. Thank you very much, Trifolio.
I was counting the letters for you.
I honestly feel like it's important to listen to these voices. And I hope that you all have had that opportunity to do that today. You've had an opportunity to listen to those voices, and there are many more out there. But I want you to be patient. I want you to be listening. And I want you, as St. Cola mentioned, to stay black, to never lose the sight of who you are, and to know that you matter. All right, ladies and gents, we're going to call it a night.
FGC, honey, yes!
No.
I wasn't trying to catch that. I wasn't trying to catch that.
Stay black.
How you gonna end it?
We said stay black.
I
Everyone give a thank you to Ricky Quito here, whatever you want to call him.
That's
Reiki
Reiko
Kito.
Kaito.
Oh Lord.
Ricky Kaito? Sound like a Samurai Showdown character. But anyway, give some love to my man.
Win Sam
And,
show.
you know, honestly, you've been putting, hold on real quick before we leave. You've been putting not only the Sam Show, King of Fighters, Grand Blue communities on your back. Show some love to this dog out here, coming through almost all paying money out of his pocket for Parsec, dealing with that. That's a headache, and I know it. But you coming through, we need to give love to you as well. So thank you so much for what you do to the community and bringing us on. I want to say thank you, man, and give us a platform, because I'm going to tell you right now, there ain't many places give us a platform, but you are, dog. So I want to run that love.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all of you.
Yep. Shout outs to everybody that tuned in, because everyone listening here, you're doing the damn thing. Let's keep it going. Let's keep sharing these voices out here.
Is Sharpie going to come back?
I don't think so. I think the wig throw and then the running out was just like, that's when you're done, man. That's your closeout.
That's
I guess.
dropping the mic.
All right, ladies and gents.
Bigger than a mic drop, man.
Jesus Christ. All right, so we had Dynamite. You can follow him at BLM Dynamite. You can follow St. Cola at _ St. Cola. You can follow Sharpie at the Purple Sharpie. You can follow Sonic Soul at Sonic _ Soul. You can follow Cap1 at Cap1. You can follow Chris Chaos at Chris _ Chaos. Or let me see if I'm doing that right. I'm sorry,
It's
Chris.
close. Chris Chaos _21.
Chris Chaos _21, and you can follow as he's at ZZ Down. Ladies and gents, it's been a wonderful night. This isn't going to be the end. There are many voices that need to be heard, not just black voices, but voices of our fighting game community. And we'll be sure to do that here at Ronin Rumble. I'll catch you guys again soon. This is Ricky Keto signing off. Later days.
I really thought he ended stream already. I thought he ended it by saying that whole
No,